And we're live. Hello and welcome to Game Theory Gang number 131. This is either 199 or 200 weeks. We've been coming to you on Tuesday nights. So hit the like and subscribe button, share this out. My name is Matty Allen. I'm here with ChrispyMan of Hexfire.io. And Kareem, welcome.
Bang, bang. What's up, everybody? Good to be here. Excited. Great stuff to talk about. Let's get it.
Another Tuesday night. So, you guys, I have pretty big news here.
Uh-oh.
I have 30 cents to deploy on PulseChain.
Wow.
What should I buy? What should I buy? I know you've seen the tweets where somebody $100,000 to deploy on PulseChain. What should they buy? And then I think T-Bird or somebody memed it. Somebody memed it and said that they had $30, but
I've seen a lot of those lately.
Magnitude significantly here. So let's go around the room. You have 30 cents to splurge on PulseChain. What are you buying? This is a real segment.
No, it's funny. Well, I would say to start, if you've been watching the show, you should already know by now. But I would say amounts, go big or go home. So I will buy either, PulseX or I will buy Ink because it's a small amount. So you can get like a little pump out of that. And then after that, rotate to X and stake it. And some yield and go chill somewhere and stop looking at the screens.
There's a 5-cent transaction fee these days on PulseChain, so you're gonna get wiped out a little bit, but there's
talk
nothing
about
wrong with that. Crispy, what do you think?
Well, it's kind of an invalid argument, but I would go for the lifeblood of Pulse. I'd get Pulse.
Pulse? Okay.
Yeah, because I'm probably going to want to do something else later, and I'm going to need Pulse for gas. And yes, the gas prices have gone up quite a bit. You're still less than a couple pennies usually, but
even if lately been getting a little bit besides the little mini pump, which is expected, it's been getting a little bit of gray attraction, which makes sense. We want some usage, so money is moving. So because
there's a website. Yeah, there's a website here, gopulse.com/gas that tells us like what the gas situation is, and it's gone back down, but it was at almost record highs recently for some reason. I guess a lot of people were buying Hex and PulseChain.
I can kind of explain that also real quick, which goes back to the macro, which obviously we're going to talk about a little bit later, but basically the ETH BTC has actually bottomed, as expected, and as what I was projecting right around the area where we've been talking about, the 3.8%, and it bounced hard from there, pushed to like 4.2. So even when Bitcoin was pumping, ETH pumped a little bit more. That's why it almost touched 2,700, which we haven't seen in a while. BlackRock inflows are starting to slowly come back in. So again, they wanted to wait for that macro thing that I've been talking to everybody about, which then happened. So, quickly I can just say Japan didn't fumble the bag. So big clap for Cheryl.
I know,
Joe.
right?
He did it. The speech was on point. What did I say last week? The biggest thing he got to do is that he got to convince those people. He's going to have the biggest speech of his life. So literally, as predicted, this week is awesome. We get the 50 basis point, but he has to come with a good talk. And although the market was a little shaky, he talked good. Investor calm down. They understood.
Oh, you said Jerome. I thought you said Japan. Okay.
No. Jerome Powell,
yeah.
And then Japan on Friday because they had their Fed meeting too.
And do you remember what my prediction was last week?
Rough. I know you said something about you wanted also like the interest rate cut, but I didn't know about the Japan part.
I said exactly 0.5% was my prediction.
Nice.
Very succinctly. That's what we got, right?
You're a genius.
I'm not, but it was obvious.
Yeah.
92% of economists got it wrong.
Yep.
But very clearly, got it right here. But then I was worried about Japan because Japan was getting ready to raise rates again, and they decided not to. So,
because they got convinced by Fed power, and that really is the key. Like I was telling everybody, because it's a two-part story. they're equally important. Even when I was tweeting about it, it's like, yes, you want your 50, so we're not behind the ball. Okay, cool. But if you're gonna cut 50, which is aggressive, you got to be able to justify that really succinctly, so the big investor don't think like, oh, there's panic. Because again, we talk about half a basis point, it might look nothing, but when you move trillions of dollars, it's a big deal, especially because of due to Japan, because of the carry trade. So because Japan saw the dollar sink, which is what you want, DXY really plunge, which then, because it's a ratio. If DXY goes down, that means all the other currency compared to it, Japan is one of them in the basket, will then go up. And Japan is still the number one bondholder. So that's why we needed them to kind of cooperate. And I guess the message was convincing enough to show that he's serious. Rate as long as all the data comes in. And this is why they say, all right, he did what he did. Our currency bounced back, and he's going to most likely cut again, possibly another 50, but most likely 25, unless we have like really, really bad data this Friday. But Japan is like, all right, cool. We're on a corrective path, so we don't have to nuke the market. We can just chill and then let Powell do his job, and then we're good. Because Japan could have just been selfish and be like, we're still going to raise F everybody. We're the biggest bondholder. We're going to kick you guys out of the pool so our yield gets better. And then we're just going to keep milking this. But then they also realized if you create major global uncertainty, eventually you get hit by that too. Because then everybody go into defense mode, and then your market gets affected too. So they play ball. So that's why it was really good. But again, it's because of what Powell said. The conference, he was confident, calm. He even cracked a joke. Everybody was laughing. That's never happened before. That's why it's like, all right, cool.
You like that Fed speak.
This is why we didn't get the crash. We got a little bounces predicted, and then now we're grinding upward, but then the market don't have any negative news that's going to come out of nowhere so far. That's good. So that's why we've been trending good, and this week's been good. We're going to continue to trend good. Gold is literally killing it too, which gives us more confidence because we always just play a catch-up trade on that. And then the next big news is just next Friday because we get another economic data. And now we're back to reality because the yield curve inverted itself. So what that means is now good news is good news and bad news is bad news. So now we got, because before it was the opposite. We need to get some kind of like slightly bad data so that Powell keeps cutting rate. But it can't be too bad, because if it's too bad, then people are going to feel, all right, cool, time to go defense. And we got election coming still as a bullish catalyst. Praise the Lord, nothing happens to Trump, and then we should be good.
So basically, up only.
Yeah, for now.
To the right.
Up and to the right, baby. But again, over here, we always zoom out. So if we don't get that, like I said, further dip in the bull market, then from here, you should just be an up only with a grind. So in other words, run to all-time high, back test that, a little dip, and then up we go. That kind of bullish pattern that I've been showing, that's showing on the stock market, that's showing on gold, the bump and run, that's what they call it. You know what I mean? You get out of the megaphone, you bump it, right? You come back and then you run. Or like Tino would call it, rise, retrace, continuation. That's what you want, the bull flag from the W pattern. And
you guys know, do you know Goolsby?
Who?
Goolsby, some sort of Fed person.
You got to show me his name, because like I know some of the other Fed governors, but it's like it's hard with a name like that. You have a picture or something?
I'm looking for it.
Because a lot of them are also speaking this week. Because it's not just Powell; they have the other government too. I mean, he's the main guy, but there's other governors too that give their idea. And that was another good thing. They were like, they make a consensus decision. That's good. Market likes that when there's consensus. When people say, "Oh, we gotta go here," and it's like it creates more chaos and confusion. It becomes unpredictable.
I spelled it wrong.
No worries.
Here we go.
Yeah. And shout out to everybody in the chat. Good to see you all. Good to see you, Tammy, Mark, everybody. That's awesome.
The Fed's Goolsby.
Okay.
Sounds like a Halloween name to me, but Fed's Goolsby says there could be many more interest rate cuts over the next year.
Yes, it will be. Terminal rate right now is at around anywhere from 3.25 to 3.5. And remember, I always told people market's always forward looking. That means that we could be ending up in a 2.5 and 2.75 in the actual market. But the way it's going to go is just, if there's no turbulence, it should just be 25. So we get that full basis point before the end of the year, before we're worried about another full point next year. But if things go a little bit worse, we might get another 50. But then again, I will caution, it might not be a good idea, because then it can create panic. Because again, in this world, 50 is a big cut. You started with a big cut. Okay, maybe they're going to let it slide once. That you're not saying there's panic in the market. You just say, hey, we'll make a vow to be ahead of the curve this time, not behind the ball. So, and then from here, they can just slowly do 25 and then chilling. Another thing too that's bullish in a way is there's no meeting technically until November. So they have no pressure for next month. It's the following month. And then that gives them time to really study the data. They're going to get 2 inflation monthly data coming in. That gives them plenty of time to reevaluate if they're going to do a 25 or a 50, and which aligns with the election. So like I said, unless we don't get any crazy drama in the news or World War III, this should just be a cruising from here. Homeboy CZ's coming out of jail this week. That's catalyst. We're getting the FTX money next month, early next month, and October. That's what we should call it, right? October. So everything is geared for like a telegraph again, retest all-time high. Then we should go kiss 85K and then go from there. But then again, unless there's a macro event that comes and take us out, right now it's programmed. It's just grind to your way up. Inflows are coming back in. That's good. Another big thing is some big inflow are coming from a rotation from big company like NVIDIA. People cash markets already at all-time high. So part of the rotation that you see when I say gold leads the way or stock market leads the way, we follow, because they pump there first, billions and billions and trillions of dollars, and then they cash out of there and they rotate into crypto. The same way how like Bitcoin pumps a lot, and then some big investor cash out of that, rotate into ETH usually, right, or altcoins in general, and then pump it like that. And that's when the dominance will start to go back the other way. So. But definitely ETH BTC bouncing off that, making that low, that's very bullish. That's a sign that, okay, the knife might be cut. That doesn't mean he's not going to retest.
I went to LA on August 22nd and took a picture outside of the Federal Reserve Bank, and I posted on Twitter. I came to Los Angeles to ask the Fed to quantitatively ease our crypto bags, and they did. Mission accomplished.
Front door?
Yeah, well, it's like, yeah, but it says use side door, so I'm not sure. Okay, I didn't actually get in there, but I just put it out into the ether.
That's awesome.
Tell us more about the Bitcoin Ethereum trade.
Well, yeah, primarily, again, if you want, I can even show it from the chart to make it easier. Boom.
Because you and Steph and everybody else who makes like the right calls says that the bottom is in.
Yes, sir.
For the ETH BTC trade, which means up only against Bitcoin or Ethereum bags.
And bottom is definitely also like in our ecosystem, which is pretty cool, entire screen, boom, share.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I've been literally calling a telegraph almost. It's funny. Let me know when you can see my screen.
You can see it.
All right, cool. So this is basically ETH again, really right around that 2200 that I've been calling the last 2 weeks. Those who got it in there, congratulations. We bounced off of there, which is cool. I'm thinking we're gonna go kiss the moving average right here, around 2800. We might get some resistance, but if everything goes well, we should be able to just grind our way up. Now, a little source of caution is, you see a green vector here on the weekly candles in the algorithm that I use, which is pretty cool. But that's potentially a source of concern because that's, high frequency trading, a lot of volume. I like to believe that it's a lot of investors that came in, but there's a chance that usually when it's a green vector, it always get retest or at least half the vector. So, but if the volume comes sufficiently enough and we don't get bad data on Friday, I can see a continuation. Just really, really cool for Ethereum. Same thing with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is literally leading the pack already and is doing literally that formation that I've been talking about. So it's like, it's bouncing off. Awesome. Instead of the megaphone still, but then it's gonna go probably retest all-time high and do like a little bump and pattern that we've seen on the stock market when I was showing you guys back here, and also you see on gold, right? It's like you get the little megaphone, vector candle, break new high, and then up it goes. If you look at gold, same thing, megaphone, right? Break up, retest, that we call the bump, right? Gets out, and then the run. So, and right now in Bitcoin, remember the last couple of weeks I said we were somewhere here. Now we're probably somewhere here. We're grinding our way up. So if you look at this, visualize this, and then back to the Bitcoin chart, it's literally basically the same pattern. It's just with a little bit of delay because it's a game of shared liquidity. So we're gonna probably come here, jiggle in.
Where is here for the people listening only on audio?
Whereas, here is like basically where we are. Basically, we're going up until the end of the month, most likely. And that's actually really first time we have a very bullish September, which is going to be a very bullish Q4 because usually September is historically red. You know what I mean? And now, obviously, we still got a week to go. Like I said, there's a potential danger on Friday. If the data comes bad, we can literally go back and retest. And by the way, we can retest 60,000 and still be bullish, you know what I mean? Because again, we came from 55 when we did that little push. So we can go a little here, come back here to 60, and then up we go. Or we can
I heard on Cultivate Crypto that there has never been a time when you had a green September and you didn't get a green October, November, and December.
Exactly. And on
in
average,
crypto,
Q4 average Bitcoin return is literally over 50+%. Kind of insane. So it's like that's why I'm like cautiously bullish in terms of like, because we could potentially get that news on Friday. We might get a little pushback, but moving to October, it's just bullish everywhere. That data we just talked about, CZ coming out at the end of the month, the $16 billion payback to the FTX people, which most of them are crypto people. Where do you think they're going to put the money? They're going to inject that right back in. You know what I mean? The election coming in, usually powers that be wants market to look good for help them for the election. So it's like it's looking good. So as long as we get that continuation, we're good. But even if we get a little dip, don't panic. It's a temporary situation. But moving to October and November, we'll probably be around somewhere here and then break the high and then all the way to the New Year's. That's where we should be trending towards that, 80, 85K, and then running to that six figures as we continue to ease. Because the first easing, maybe there was like people say, okay, cool, yes, it's 50, it's cool, but you need more easing to move that $6 trillion that's sitting in the bond market. They're not just going to move like that. They need a bigger catalyst. You need to really suppress the yield, right? Yield's been pushing down, which is good. See, just as I predicted. So when you look at it on the weekly, it's doing that beautiful trending down without puking too hard, but it's trending down towards a moving average, just like we want it. So it looks really, really good. Can
I ask a dumb question?
Go ahead.
So how do I know what the number is that we need to stay above to have, quote unquote, a green September?
Okay. Well, in that case, we can actually check it out. You talk about just the pure data. So we just need to look at the monthly chart, and that would just tell us. Like if I put it on the monthly.
Yeah. So I've got it right here. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because right here
on Dex Screener, but I don't know how to measure it. Like, what number am I looking at?
Well, usually
like where the last month ended, what the price was, or what the average price was in the last month, or
like basically what you're seeing here, right? Look at this, right? This is September 1st, right? And then this is August 1st. Technically, August we see closed candle. It closed here around 59,000. Okay, roughly.
So where it ended the month.
Where it ended the month, because that's usually where you see, because it's the candle close. Because the wick don't really matter. You know what I mean? Kind of like. You can see like how the wick tells a story and then the close tell the facts. So the facts are we wick down here crazy for sure, but then we closed the month right here. The same way at some point in September, we were literally down here. It was red like crazy. You get what I'm saying? And then we recover all the way back to 59K and change. And that's when it turned green. Green in this case, because I got my algorithm on, it's basically the gray. Because green is just vector candle. See how that big vector candle, we went to recover half the vector. See, that's good.
So the price of ETH at the close of the day on August 31st, 2024 was 2.51K. Does that sound right?
Okay, cool. Let me go to ETH. Okay, so ETH, right around 2.5. Yes. The reading.
Okay, so as long as we end September above that.
Yeah. it's good.
We're good.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it looks good for multiple reasons because, like I said, the ETH BTC is literally bottoming, right? Okay, monthly is probably a little stretch so far, but look at the weekly. It looks good already because we get the stop candle here. Then we get the reversal bounce right here because this is a stop volume candle right here. Boom. Then we reverse. Now, obviously, it's touching the moving average. First try always gets rejected, but the week hasn't ended yet. It might continue to push. But once we recover that, like literally, this start to trend the other way. You know what I mean? And this is the ETH against Bitcoin. So in other words, if it starts trending the other way and Bitcoin goes up towards 80K, ETH quickly catches up too. Now, it might get rejected, come back here and do my favorite famous bullish pattern, which is the W, right? You might end up doing something like this, right? It goes, it comes back. Maybe not make a new low, but just make like a W and then go. You know what I mean? But right now, the good news is week over week, it's the first time in a long time. You see how this almost basically 6 weeks in a row. Before that, it was just making new lows. You know what I mean? Because it went down here, failed to recover, made a new low, keep closing lower and lower even here. And only here it stopped. And now it's tentatively making a higher low. And even if it stops here and don't go up, it's technically bullish. It's a higher right low. Then the next one, you see how the moving average starts to curve. There's a high chance that it might try to recover. And then we can quickly, once we cross this one here, we can quickly run back to that moving average here of 5%. And that's huge because if ETH start to gain potentially 20+%, say 23% against Bitcoin, that's huge. That's the same equivalent of like saying Bitcoin goes to 70K, but then ETH can quickly go to like 3,200. You know what I mean? And recover that gain that it lost against Bitcoin before very, very fast. So that's why it's really same way BNB has done a very big recovery too. They know their homeboy is coming out soon. So that's huge. It's already back to level that it were before. Like, and I'm thinking what that pattern is what ETH is gonna do, most likely. It's just ETH is just a little bit heavier. Because if ETH as compared to BNB in terms of the pattern, the price should be somewhere around 3K right now. But the cool thing is you see ETH where there's that little, again, green vector here to worry about. I try to recover a little bit, but the volume came in. But if we're able to recover and take over 2,700 right here, that where that line is, and cover that, that's good. And what's bullish too is that the moving average, the green one, is still pointing upward, which is good. That's bullish. It can easily go over. Moving averages are bad when they start to point downward because that means that you've been lower at a lower price for a very long time. That's when it's bad. Because that was a weekly chart. If it's like kind of pointing upward like it is, it can quickly go underneath and push higher because it shows that the momentum is still going up. There's more data on the upside than data below the moving average. That's why it's pointing up. Start to curve and fall and start going down. That means there's more data in the recent future on the weekly chart that the price has been lower than moving average than higher than moving average. So that's why it's like it's one way to see what something is a support or not. The same way you saw here, right? This was pointing down, so it came in and got rejected. But once he penetrated here with force, with the green candle here, it went above. Now it's curving, the moving average curving up. Now it's going to be used as support. It's the same thing you're going to see over there too. So if right now looking good, but again, we're still dealing with some macro event. But right now, no other red flags. Stock market's been doing good. Everything is literally like pointing all-time high. Right? See, boom, all-time high, SPX. US 30, sorry, SPS, all-time high, SPY, all-time high, Dow Jones, all-time high. They're all just flying. You know, gold doing its own thing, literally new all-time high, pumping 3%, 2%. I mean, just 1.5, like multi-trillion-dollar assets. Like if you get this kind of move in crypto, we'll be pumping like Bitcoin will be pumping 10, 20%. The kind of market cap that gold is gaining right now. So, and again, but that money is going to eventually rotate. But because it's a good thing and it's bad at the same time, because the only time global economy pumps gold this bad is when they really are starting to feel uncertainty about the global market. And for rightfully so, because China right now, but they just unloaded the bazooka. For people watching what China just did, it's not just like they cut rates too, but they literally pump the equivalent of like the money that we kind of big bazooka, what we pumped during like kind of COVID times. Obviously, it's not multi-trillions of dollars like we did, but the multi-billion, hundreds of billions that they print, or billions of dollars, is the equivalent of what we did kind of for COVID to, jumpstart the economy again. And people in China already know for a long time the value of protecting their purchasing power. So that's why they run to gold, precious metal. And that's why you see also a lot of like Chinese related crypto also started to pump. This is also the reason why I think, that's just a side topic real quick, the ETH thing. There's a lot of Chinese miners that still use proof of work. So that's what I believe one of the reasons why ETH started to get a little kick also. And Ethereum as well, because that money is going to funnel back in. And the Token 49 conference was really good. So to recap, you got interest rates going down as predicted, which is cool, trending beautifully down. The 2-year, boom. The 10-year got a little bounce, but thank God it didn't go out of control. It's still pointing down. The yield curve actually increased the spread, which is sometimes good at first, but you don't want it to be too big also, because it gets bad, because people need to be able to do the borrowing and lending with the smaller spread, because it can kind of carry over different duration. But right now, it's at 3.5, and the other one is at 3.7. As you can see, 3.4. So there's almost 200 plus now basis points difference, you know what I mean, which is a good spread. So you know that it's clearly like uninverted back to normal. It's not like kind of like, oh, what if it goes back the other way? Like, it's clearly separated, and they're both still trending down. And the reason why the 2 year is the one that's the most important right now is because we still have some anxiety in the market. So the long-term borrowing is less important than the short-term borrowing. This is the reason why this one is going down faster than this one, because as people are cashing out into bonds, they're buying more 2 years more than the 10 years so far still, because they believe that we might still get a little bit of rally left in the stock market, because rightfully so, until election. And then after the election, good or bad, depending on what happened, you get the full intensity of the Fed pivot. Right now, just like historically, I've shown Fed pivot, but it doesn't mean market crash right away or big dips right away. In the best case scenario, sometimes it can even be dragged 6-9 months. And that's what we want. That's why I call it best case scenario, so we can have our full bull run. And by the time it does that, we'll be so into the bull run no matter what. And the yield will be so low, and there's so much potential like cash flowing around, that stock market for a short period of time, just like we saw in 2019, can be decorrelated from crypto to some extent, where it's like we'll catch so much momentum, we'll be flying, and then we'll worry less about what the stock market does. But right now, we're winning simply because we need to catch up to the stock market anyway, because there's a big disparity. So even if, let's say, stock market or let's say gold gets a pullback, let's say here, right? But then in crypto, we're somewhere here, and then we pump over here. All that does is they're getting a pullback, but we're catching up. Because what is a pullback, right? What I always tell you guys, what is red candle? It's people taking profit. Red candle it's not this bad thing. It's just like, well, people take profits or they rotate capital. That's what portfolio managers do a lot of the time. If they feel like, okay, cool, there's more risk to be in the trade and out of the trade, especially if you run it so hard, then it's better to move to something that you think hasn't quote unquote pumped yet. So you can kind of revert that. Another good thing that's bullish that I told you guys since the last couple of weeks to watch out for, which is happening beautiful on Ethereum especially, is anything related to DeFi, right? Look at that, continuing to pump. Aave looking good, compound society, because some of that liquidity come back to those yield protocols, because when that $6 million fully built $1 trillion comes out of the bond market, it's still going to chase yield, because that's what it was in the bond market to begin with. It wasn't trying to be too much in the stock market, because those people over there, they're a little bit more risk averse. They love to just sit around and collect yield, right? And be fat and happy. So they're looking for similar product that resemble that. This is why things like, Aave, Compound, DeFi, Hex, of course, all that are going to benefit from it, because people are going to start chasing yield soon. Definitely in 2025, 100%. 2024, it will depend on if we get another jumbo cut, 50%. It's going to accelerate that transition. If we get a 25, that's fine too. It's just going to happen a little bit slowly. So look at it like that. So those are the things that I've always been inspecting. So, which is really good. But yeah, but that ETH BTC, that's huge. That's a very, very cool thing that makes us worry less about Ethereum, because at first we kind of know what Bitcoin is most likely geared to do, but we were worried about if Ethereum is going to keep bleeding or if inflow is going to start coming in. And the inflow did start slowly coming in. BlackRock stopped playing ball again. Like, you see, some inflow came in a little bit. Obviously, Grayscale is still selling, but we're getting positive back-to-back net days. Let me refresh a little bit to see if the data for today came out. See? Oh, wow. BlackRock data is not out yet, but look, another green day. Really good. You know what I mean? 37 million come in. Freaking Grayscale didn't sell. So that's good. So if the inflow is still coming in, because remember, we used to get a bunch of zero, and then inflows start coming in even from BlackRock, that means that big investors are starting to see, okay, cool, that dip that we've been sitting on the sideline waiting for, because they definitely got money. I need you guys to understand that. They definitely have trillions of dollars ready to go. All that money that you heard about, the Tether, the printout, the global liquidity, it's already there. Like I've always said. And also, that's why you got to worry about timing. Don't get excited when they print and they move to crypto. Get excited when they deploy the money. This is where they deploy the money to make sure that the Bitcoins are bought. They even send a message to Coinbase to say, hey, by 12 hours of our purchase, you need to show our Bitcoin in our wallet to make sure it's there. Because we heard rumors that apparently sometimes Coinbase delayed the purchasing of the coin to move into their custody wallet, so they could be playing some games with it. So, but now that's good. Chances are when it is a delay like that and it's already 9 p.m., chances are it's going to be an inflow day also. On the Ethereum side, nothing too crazy, but it's like what's good about it is that you get a massive 80 million dump, but the price actually went up. Why is that? Because I told you ultimately for Ethereum inflow, it don't really matter, because as long as Bitcoin is getting inflows, okay, very important what I'm about to say, as long as Bitcoin is getting inflow and if BTC is pushing higher, whether we like it or not, Ethereum is going to catch some of that valuation, because again, it's a bonding liquidity, right? Hard slow, as we love to call it, right? Because if he's not really getting anything, matter of fact, getting exit 80 million, but as 80 million came out yesterday or whatever, 90 plus million came a couple of days before, 158 come another 37 today. And to move the ETH BTC this much week over week, especially in DeFi, we know that's the biggest market. They move billions of dollars a day. So a lot of inflow into ETH is not going to show up here. Okay, it's going to show up in this chart, ETH BTC ratio, because smart investors that have been in crypto long enough, they look at it, oh, this is a very low price. This is a good idea for me to swap some of my Bitcoin into my Ethereum. So this is the reason why Ethereum can have no inflow as long as Bitcoin has inflow and the ETH BTC stays strong. At the very least, ETH gets dragged up at the same percentage as Bitcoin. Or worst case scenario, if Bitcoin get a major pump, if BTC gets a little bit affected in a negative way, but still pumps. Because again, if you get like a 3% and I get a 2% pump, I'm losing 1% against you, but I'm still going up that 2%. So that's the very, very important thing to realize, which is awesome. And then, also in Hex World, which is good, we're trending beautifully right now. Again, week over week, little digestion here. The week has just started. Like I say, we're on day 2, but again, back to back. And what I love about this is you see how the green candles are just regular gray, which is good. Real buying, real people, which makes sense because we're literally pure DeFi, real transaction on chain. It's not green like a vector candle, which is not high frequency trading stuff. It's real people buying this thing up. And what I predict, rightfully so, is, by the court case, something like that. This is EX, and we'll go with PX afterwards. But first step is we're going to retake the moving average, which is literally almost a 90% move from here for EX easily, which is right around the previous low where we're at. So there could be a little resistance here. But the beauty is once we take over that, it will catch it as support. You see how the moving average already is like curving, which is good. It's going to start looking like what we used to have back in the day, literally right after big payday, when we recovered and then we started to trend higher and went up crazy. So I still love this chart because I look for the historical thing of it. And you see how that descending line was a resistance. That's probably where we stopped right here. But once we break this after a little consolidation, see moving average already tweaking the other way. We take this, and then next thing you know, right around here, 200 moving average, waiting perfectly where I think the terminal is for this guy, right around 6 cents. And then for obviously, PHEX is going to get there faster. But if we get the 004 here on EHEX, I can see a easily 2-3 cents PHEX. And then that's when we get a combined, because right around this time, last time around, we had that combined 3-4 cents hex between the two, because it was right around 3 cents and change on one, and then the other one was around, half a penny, half of the penny, 0.005 to the penny itself. So I can see those same ratio come back, and then slowly but surely, the ratio start pushing on the other way, because again, I don't see a situation when you have a major disparity between EX and PX as they start ramping up towards back to their all-time high. You know what I mean? Right now, you could be, 30% on one another or 40%, but as they both raise in price, I see that disparity close, because you're going to see a major discount where if you see one is 5 cents and the other one is 1 cent, you're going to see a lot of people naturally migrate from 5 to 1 to close the gap, because that's just, especially if it's the same product. So big wallet, that's what they'll do. They'll arb the shit out of it, because that's what we've been seeing from the get-go. So, but yeah, everything's looking good. Macro's looking good. Back to just quickly on, actually, Maddie, 1 second. I got to stop sharing. Boom, one thing, and then refresh something over here. And go back. Now I'm sharing back. I had to hide something on my screen. So, boom. Okay, I'm back to sharing the screen. Oh, can my screen be shared again? Sorry, I stopped it because I had to put a password.
Unshared.
Yeah, I did because I had to put a password real quick because I wanted to go into PulseChain.
Yeah, when Maddie comes back, he can post it.
Yeah, cool. But in the meantime, yeah. So it's basically
you have to switch the screen from StreamYard so you don't give away our link. So you switch your tab that you're sharing.
Oh, like this?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, my bad. Can you see me now?
Got it.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Boom, back to here. So when we go back to those charts, again, chugging along nicely, just like I wanted to see. We got the nice, MACD cross pump week over week, which is good. Just so everybody knows, this little pullback here, that's healthy. It's people waiting from down here, probably taking some profit, or, big world I've been waiting for a while to exit, the Rackham of the world or whatever it might be. Some of them, I saw a big sell on X, on Hex earlier today. It was like a 50 million, something like that. Misdemeanor Hex, like almost like 500,000. And then another 20 and a 30. But then soon after, literally, like somebody come and bought like another 15, 17 million. So it's like, it's really good to see that there's thick liquidity as the price is rising up. That's good. So it's probably just a quick little retest here, which is cool. But all the charts are very healthy, pushing the right way. We had the DMI bounce literally as predicted to the T, literally bounced off. Well, it's cool. But the cool part is, look at this, guys. It's like it still hasn't gone full on bullish yet. It's like literally warming up because the orange, is still above the blue. That means that the selling pressure is still greater than the buying pressure. Once you start fully crossing kind of like this and then really, really go and stay there consistently while the other one just trends down, that's when we know we're like cooking big time. So, and we're literally moving into October. I predict that's what's going to happen. So it's like, and we're going to be in those zones. So the real pump hasn't even started. This is warning shot. We're just chilling, PulseX, similar thing that you can see. Similar pattern. Again, cross, boom, the pumps. Ink as well as that leading indicator, boom, doing the same thing. And the cool thing is like with low volume, because again, he has less coins compared to, obviously PulseX and Pulse, but you get the green back to back week over week. That's what we want to see. There's still more buying than selling. The candle might be red, but look at just the green. There's more money coming in, more than that. So as some people exit, new people come in and gobble that liquidity because they don't want the price to go against them. So I've had some free friends literally also call me up, be like, man, I need to rush him. I was like, you still got time, but like, yeah, stop making your bets. If you haven't been in position, now is the time. So, but the beautiful W is looking good, retesting nicely. And then from here, we're just going to keep pushing higher. And then Hex as well, looking really nice. Hex had the biggest pump, actually. And again, like I said last week, I telegraphed this, rightfully so, because in my book, remember, once again, why did PulseChain got created, right? It's for this guy. You got to remember who the king is. You know what I mean? Excuse my French, but that's just the truth. And also because it was also very, very oversold like a PulseX, but worse because, again, that's the major hex. And at some point, even in the quote unquote the bear market, when we were close to like half a penny or whatever, this was still usually around like, 1 to 2 cents. So the fact that it pumped this much is because it was that oversold and the liquidity was low. So, and a lot of people who were waiting to cash out or have a big valuation on their Pulse and PulseX who don't have their Hex bag. They probably watched the stream last week. So some of them are migrating their Pulse and their PulseX to buy Hex to solidify the coin that they don't have, rightfully so. But this is very, very, very bullish. I mean, week over week, look at this. We're talking about 50+% pump. First week, 50, this one, 55. Really, really awesome. It's already at a 0.5. When it moves this violently, it's already right around here, touched out the moving average. Probably got stopped here for that, wait for the consolidation. But it's consolidation in a very, very bullish way because, I mean, it's not even going half the candle. And then on the Keltner channel, it's literally consolidating on the top of the channels. Like it really tells you he wants to go. And chances are, like I was talking about why ink has to be the leading indicator as an incentive, look at PHEX like that too. Because a lot of people who exited, who sold, whatever, already did. A lot of coin got exited, and then a lot of other coins got staked. So don't think that there's that many hex out there. Remember the sacrifice from back in the day. Remember people panic selling, you know, from EHEX to PHEX and vice versa, playing the ratio games instead of just chilling. A lot of hex got liquidated, disappeared, burned. It's not as much as people think. You know what I mean? And yes, as the price go higher, some people with big wallet, their valuation goes higher. But a lot of those people, like myself, are long-term holders. They're not trying to sell anytime soon. So you could be sitting there thinking, oh, the valuation is getting crazy, but it doesn't matter if the person is not going to sell, especially when you have a very, very hard luck system like Hex. This is one of the fundamentals. Remember that. As much as, you know, I said, yeah, it's cool to also, as a, you know, not just Hex, get your liquidity providing LP and generate yield that way for, you know, emergency and this and that. But remember the trade-off, very important. You're getting flexibility because at any time you can take away the LPs, but in Hex, you're getting more gains because it is hard luck. It gives you more. And that also means that the pump can be more strong because those who are pumping it can do it with more confidence because if you understand how Hex move, and especially the big whales do, they understand, they have the chart of, you know, the supply that's coming online. You know what I mean? In other words, they have the chart of ending stakes. They know what's happening. They know when there's a big inflow. In other words, sometimes that's the time where they want to buy because they expect some of those people to sell to provide liquidity so they can buy that up. The same way, I don't know if you've been watching those big stakes, you know, 125 million Hex being on rotation for, you know, 20, 30 days, stuff like that. And those big Cuatro Cinco that keep coming in because those people understand how the system works. If anything, they're scaring people who don't understand what they own to sell so they can buy at the low. Almost the same as when Big Whale moved big coins or a lot of coins into exchange and people panic and they sell. They don't understand that could be just be a tactic to scare you. We've seen it many times. Hex, oh my God, 2 billion Hex is ending and da-da-da, what's going to happen? And then wind up happening a lot of the time, the person just literally buy more, restake, boom. And that's what you got to remember. So it's very, very low liquidity compared to what it was before. And that's the thing that when it was way more liquid, it pumped like crazy. You know what I mean? 12 doubles, 50x plus, and we're trending in that direction. And like I said last week, I see this beautiful channel over here. First stop, you know, probably by November. By the court case, I see us retesting this zone right here, right around the 2 cents, 2.2. You know what I mean? That can literally happen before even the court case. But the way it's going towards that, and then you could create another kind of bump and run because he could go retest, and then once he escaped that descending line, if you're not in position by then, which is roughly, let's say, based on my prediction, you're looking at towards the end of the year or November. But once it's off the race from this thing, if you're not in position, it moves fast, moves as a function of a square. So in other words, you see those big candle 50%. Once we start getting here, it will move even more violently faster because that's why exponential goes, because we were oversold. Next thing you know, a 50% candle, right, will start to look like this, like right around here, right? Bigger. And then when you're on this zone, watch this, because it's in log form, another 50% candle, it's like next thing you know, you literally a couple of those, you're the 1618. And then from there, usually 2618 is the next target. And then 3618, we keep pushing like that. But just to put it in perspective, 1618, you already bring Hex where I think it should be already, which is 5 cents, which is a good balance. and then consolidate, and then it goes to 618. That's already 25 cents. Next thing you know, we're 50% from the low. So in other words, you snooze, you lose in a very, very short period of time. Within 6 months, if we keep getting the macro we're supposed to get, the yield getting lower, DeFi becoming the talk of the town again, and again, by 2025, literally, which is right here, right around here, first week of 2025, boom, moving into March, because usually historically, if you guys remember, DeFi, Ethereum, it's always around end of January, February, where Ethereum usually do their big update and start to run. It's always in, mid Q1 going into Q2. So if you remember that, and we're going to get the cool little hype of New Year's Eve. Maddie, shout out to you and to us. We're going to have the Hex conference around that time too. What do you think is going to do to the price? Most likely, right? Again, this is my speculation, but I'm just saying it's gearing for a very, very explosive move. And if hopefully we can get a resolution with the case, man, we're going to fly so much. It's going to be funny. If the case takes a little bit longer, which could happen, that's fine. We know we're going to win. It's just going to be a little bit dragged. So we might consolidate a little bit longer. But again, the destination is set. You know what I mean? The fibs are there. It's just a matter of how fast we're going to get there. You know what I mean? And sometimes, slow and steady win the race. And that's what we're doing right now. And I love the fact that we are recuperating all those fibs so fast, like it's just, a knife cutting through butter. And again, guys, this is just Tuesday. Okay. This thing started Sunday night and it was already green. Now somebody sold. Okay, cool. It's good because guess what? It was roughly about 100 million hex. 100 million hex sold here that we don't have to worry about selling somewhere here or above. So that's really, really good. There's not that many people who have 100 million hex, trust me, compared to the overall size of the community and who's out there. So, and new buyers are all coming in as well. So once the price start continuing, and then mind you, right around this zone, I predict 2-3 cents to 4 cents, the equilibrium zone. This is when staking becomes so good again. Less people are going to sell, because they're going to stop trading their bag and just stake and chill and start earning their yield and live their best life as they should have. It's just that, price went so low that it turned into traders again, because some of them were, recovered addict from trading, and then they find their way, but then the price went low enough so they went back to the addiction. But once the price goes back to that stable zone and everything is just steady, watch how they're going to realize once again the truth, which is trading is a waste of time. You just quickly, slowly burn your account, and then they're going to be back on track, and then we're going to be good to go. So keep an eye on that. We're moving the right way. Probably by Tuesday next week, we could be above this moving average. So, and then recover that 1 cent by the end of the month. I can see that happen. But again, right now, we're moving in the right ways. And one last chart here, because I always told you Ink is the moving follower here, is the Ink converts to Pulse. That ratio looks good as well. So again, it recovered inside because he did a major pull. Now it pulls back a little bit. It's going to consolidate into that zone, but expect moving into November that it's going to keep trending higher. You know what I mean? I this kind of move reminds me of the move over here. Major run. We're talking about, like, again, that's literally Ink against PulseChain. Crazy. Even though they're both pumping. But then Ink was pumping 30% against PulseChain. That's crazy. Then he digests the move, right? Because people recover, because some people who have their Ink, usually big wallets, because they provide that LP liquidity and they're literally farming the Ink. So when they see a major pump, they usually cash out. But usually once they cash out, they have to wait another month, possibly 2 to 3 weeks, because big wallets, they're gonna cash out when it matters, like 50,000, 100,000 at a time, because some of those big wallets literally can generate 100K, 200K a month, like it's nothing. So when they see a major move, that's when they take profit. But then once they do, guess what? They run out of Ink. So now when Ink create a new incentive and push the price up, they're not going to sell because they just sold. So they got to wait 3-4 more weeks. So I expect something like this: consolidation, then new injection comes in, consolidation, the new injection. So expect that kind of pattern. But the real show becomes when we go above this bar and start flying. That's when it goes. I expect that most likely 2025. And like I said on the Maddie, I was on that show on the Wednesday. I told you they invited me, and I wanted to do that guy a favor because he helped me and I promised that I would go. But
DGen Roundtable.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much. And they're really awesome. Because what's going to happen most likely here at this zone is that a lot of people who started to, make money in Hex or in the ecosystem, for better or worse, whatever, they're going to have their own coin. And a lot of the time, if you guys are already rich, already got your money and all this other stuff, and you're not trying to buy another Lambo or whatever, you just want to reinvest in the ecosystem. Some of those guys are going to basically pair their new coin, whatever they want to create, and they need liquidity, right? And usually in the beginning, everybody knows you're the one responsible to set up the game. Well, one of the easiest way is, since they be earning that free ink basically from farming, because they're not stupid enough to sell their Pulse and PulseX, because that's their main source of revenue. Like I was telling people at the DGen table, I expect them to then use the extra ink to then provide the liquidity for their whatever their new coin is, whatever, to play the game over there. But what that does is, just like when Ether was locked in many smart contracts into DeFi, created the pump to be even bigger. Now ink can continue to pump without being sold, because the big money that could sold it down are now using that ink to provide liquidity for their own coin. And now all of a sudden, it's now the incentive gets flipped, Manny, because now if they let ink rip, it makes their coin look good too, because their coin usually is paired with ink as well. So the more valuable the ink is, just like, ETH hex ratio, whatever, if ETH is greater, then the hex also do well, or pulse to pulse hex. So now this is when ink can start going back to that zone. Because if it's not for that, the selling pressure, if people are just cashing out, the selling pressure will be too great for the ink ratio to pulse to go back into that zone. So that's why I'm putting it like that. But this is when I know we get to that final phase of the bull market, where it's like euphoria everywhere, right? When everybody's a genius, every coin is pumping. You throw something over there, you can literally do a 5x out of nowhere, because again, everything is pumping, and it's a game of ratio, and they can easily, I don't want to say the word manipulate the price, because again, technically everybody can say everything is manipulated, but they can control it in a certain way that it could make their project look successful. So that as your euphoria indicator, once this ratio goes above and fly, which is good for the ecosystem also, because the overall market cap, the volume, everything's going to be crazy, because the more pair do more volume for PulseX, the more buy and burn. Let's not forget that. The more volume for PulseChain. Now we get more visibility. We go back into, now we close to go back to the top 10 of the most busiest blockchain. We'll clearly get to top 5. But in order for us to go back to top 5, we need that heavy volume. We need a ratio of ink in this area here and above, which was back in the day, if we're talking about USD price, more or less, we need ink back to that, right around that zone, right? Let's just say even $10, okay? But above 8 for sure, right around, because that's when the ratio was very, very bad. So when you start getting double digits, it's very, very good from there. So hopefully that kind of breaks down on the overall of everything. Thank you so much for listening. And everything look exciting right now. It's just a patience game. You know what I mean? Accumulate if you can. If not, just, again, stay dead and chill. You're in position. Enjoy the show. Have a drink. Come listen to us when you can. And life is good.
Macro looks really nice right now.
Amen. And then, one last thing. The only thing to worry about, like I said, this coming week is Friday. We have economic data coming for the manufacturing, just to see. Again, it's expected to be a little bit bad, which is good, because it's going to force the Fed to keep lowering rates. But if it's too bad, it's not good, because now it's like, oh, we're not doing a soft landing. We're doing a hard landing. And now it's going to force the Fed to do emergency cut. And when there's emergency cut now, the people in the carry trade are going to have to unwind even faster, and that can create panic. So again, remember, we're now in a new phase, back to reality, which is, good news is good news and bad news is bad news. You know what I mean? Right now, we want bad news, but we want a small bad news to keep lowering the rates, so that Fed Powell doesn't be like, oh, we don't have to lower rate. Because right now, we don't have to worry about inflation per se, because we got that really nice 2.5 reading, and it's kind of trending down. So that's really good. And Powell is not worried about that, because remember, the dual mandate, when they don't have to worry about one, that's good. That means we can focus on the other one. And the other one is that unemployment rate that's creeping up right now. We need that to stop, because if it keeps going up too much, then that can create panic. So that's pretty much that. Yeah. Yeah, and for people listening, it's because today also I wanted to go early because I have an event that I have to go to in the next like 20 minutes or so. So I asked Maddie to let me go first. So that was awesome. Oh, Maddie, we're matching. JD. It's such a
Honey. Mine
flavor.
is honey too. We're twins. We're up only twins.
It's mind connection. Yeah, and shout out to everybody in the chat, man. You guys are awesome. Keep coming here every Tuesday, and it's awesome. So, and I appreciate the shout out and the welcome back. It's awesome. And then yeah, let us know if you have any questions in the chat, or if somebody, because I'm pretty much done.
Oh, here's a good one.
Go ahead.
For all three of us, is $100 ink a realistic possibility?
Ooh, great question.
Or is it FUD?
I'll give you a two-part answer, and this is just my genuine, honest assessment of the situation based on what I just said too. As of right now, it is still going to be the leading indicator, again, irrespective of X, because Hex kind of do his own thing because he was so oversold, like I said. But if you literally look at all the mapping of PulseX, Ink has pumped a little bit faster, followed by PulseX because he was oversold, followed by Pulse, just like I predicted, because again, it's showing pattern. And there's a reasoning behind it because, again, you need Ink to pump first. For those who are new, who never heard me say this, right? Ink is the leading indicator because he needs to pump first to incentivize the pool. Once the pools are incentivized, now big money or people in general are incentivized to buy Pulse and PulseX, or I'm just focused on core coins, right? So those coins to then provide a liquidity to then farm the Ink. So in other words, it has to stay high to become the incentive for the other two to be purchased, because you will purchase them and then you will lock them away to farm the Ink itself. And as you lock them away, it creates a price appreciation for those coins as well, because when they're locked away, just like Hex, they're locked away so they can't be sold. But Ink is different than Hex. Hex is hardcore locking, which is good, which is why the yield is so strong. But because it's hardcore, you also get that peace of mind that it's not just going to disappear overnight. When you do a farming, you get that flexibility because you get a lower yield, but that flexibility, sometimes if you want a major pump, so to speak, it could hinder that because it's so flexible. Like there's a big pump, a well can just be like, oh my God, I make so much money, man, let me just dump. So you need another incentives to combat that urge to dump, and that incentive is the Ink. Because if somebody has, I give you an example, if somebody has, $8 million, okay, there's some wells out there that we know who have those, right? Or even just a 2 million in liquidity farm, right? Price pump 40%, right? Technically, you're like, oh, wow, my account's worth 2.8 million. I just made $800,000, right? They could be tempted to just take money out and just sell. But then if you provide the farm and at the same time, the Ink went up also a lot, 40, 50%. And then now you went from, maybe you were generating maybe $150,000 a month, okay? Now all of a sudden you're generating $200,000 a month because the price went up. Now you, what we call, you got the golden handcuffs and you're fat and happy in a sense where instead of taking money out of your 2 million that just turned into, 2.8 million in my example, you now have an extra $50,000 a month in yield that you're generating. So your incentive now becomes, I'm not going to crash the price and market dump if I'm smart, of course, because, some people are irrational. I'm not going to sell $3 million worth of coin, which the liquidity might be able to absorb, but I'm definitely getting some slippage. I'm just going to be content that, my yield just went up by $50,000 a month. I'm just going to be happy using that. Make sense? So that's why that incentive has to be there to continue to allow the pump to happen. Okay. Now that's the step one of that question. The step two is as Ink continue to pump, let's say it goes to $10, $15, $20, let's say hypothetically. Now the incentive is so juicy that some well just can't resist. I'm just going to be honest with you, because some of them, they never touched that kind of money before. Now all of a sudden you're worth $50 million in the pool. You're generating $1 million a month. Yeah. But maybe you want to cash out 20 mil just because you feel like it. So this is what can hurt Ink, because if Ink becomes too valuable too fast and people don't have traveled that wealth syndrome yet, they're going to push the price down of Ink because it's like they're getting too many Ink. The yield is too juicy. Make sense? Now, one way that could combat that is if the whales decide to take that Ink and go provide liquidity with it. somewhere else. I.e., example, and again, I'm not advocating this, I'm just saying it's an example. If some of those wells, and some of them do, have their own project, so to speak, they can then take that ink to go provide liquidity in those projects, which then allow those ink to be locked in a way and not dumped on the market, which then lower the sell pressure of the number of ink per month, which then allow the ink price to continue to rise. Because now better yet, they literally incentivize themselves to pump the ink price up, because it will make their liquidity pool in their coin that they match with the ink go higher in price. This is how you get $100 ink. So I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying it is possible, but I want you to understand the scenario that needs to happen for that to be possible. If not, it is mathematically inconsistent, because the incentives are greater to sell than not to sell. Does that make sense? So that's why it's very important. And even if it's $1 million a month and not selling the whole bag, it's like there's a lot of them at $100 ink. Some of them could be easily be worth 500 million if they kept all their Pulse and their PulseX, right? And then at that point, they'd be generating 2-3 million ink a month. Now, the right thing to do will be, hey, just leave off the 2 mil, right? Why stress it? But you never know what people are going to do. They might just decide, hey, I want to sell 50 million worth. So I hope that answers your question. It is not impossible, but something very, very specific. They will have to graduate and be like Richard Hart status, right? It's the easiest way to explain. Where it's like you're solving, your equation just changed. You're solving for glory. You're no longer solving for, hey, let me go buy the next Lambo and this and that. It's like you get to the thing that I always talk about, where it's like, yo, you just stay there and chill. And it's like you spend money when it's something that you want to like see happen, like a worldview you want to change, or a community you want to see, or maybe you always wanted to build your own project, and then next thing you know, boom. Or you're one of those benevolent well that want to support other projects on the ecosystem, something like Godwell did, right? Godwell didn't create a coin, right? But he splashed in different ecosystem within the bigger ecosystem, which is PulseChain. So you can be that kind of VC style, or kind of create, and I don't sponsor people to create their own coin. I'm just answering the question. I want to be very clear. That's the only way you can get an ink going to $100. If not, the sell pressure will be too great, because those people will be generating too much money per month.
You don't think ink can go to $100?
Manny, that's not what I said. You act like you didn't even listen. I just spoke for 10 minutes. That's the first thing you said.
What's the TLDR then?
Oh my God! So you're not even.
Is it going there or not? Yes or no?
He's not even listening.
This is like Congress. This is like when Gary Gensler got grilled earlier today. Like,
well, I'm
reclaiming my time. Yes or no?
Oh my God, this is funny. How about this? Let's pretend that all the big wells are listening to me, and I'm gonna make this happen, right? I'm gonna give them a financial command, like back in the
yeah.
All right, let's just say they cap their selling, because honestly, let's be real, bro. I've seen it briefly, but for 6 months, near the top of the market, actually for about 9 months. At some point, my Hedron, I told the story many times, my Hedron was generating like $30,000 a month. So it's like, and I was living great, and I'm still living great. So it's like, the point is that you get to a certain point where you don't really need that much money. Like these wells right now who are already generating $100,000 plus a month, you know what I mean, of the yield. So in other words, unless you just want to dump for the sake of dumping.
Yeah, but what if the rewards get turned down?
Well, that could happen too. But remember, you need the reward to be high to a certain point to attract new buyers too.
But if it's $100 per ink, it's going to be high.
Yes,
and you're saying it could go too high.
No, I'm saying the big powers that be can potentially hurt the price. So it's a very dynamic thing. And I'm going to explain that. That's good, because it could be a little bit confusing, okay? And everybody, please bear with me, okay? It might be a little tough, but I'm trying to speak slow. Imagine this. I want you to visualize. Imagine a pool, okay? There's people in the pool already. Let's just say they account for at least 35% of the pool, okay? And those wallets or individuals, you're probably talking less than 20 people. Okay, that's just the facts. They're at the point where they're already generating 6 figures a month at current price. I want everybody to understand that. And some of them, I know them personally. It's like, it's happening. It's already there. Now, some of them, like I said, they're already benevolent. They don't care. They got their lifestyle. They want to support the ecosystem. Maybe they got a big project down the road, but right now they don't want to hurt the price. They see the value, boom, 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 done. Some of them, they rotate the money into Hex. They create more stakes over there because, again, that was their plan, because they went hard on the sacrifice. But remember, they lost a lot of stakes too. So they have to go rebuild that. So that money is not leaving the ecosystem. It's just being reshuffled. The same way you see sometime on Wellbot, right? Wink, wink, massive Hex buy, but it's not new money. It's coming from Pulse. It's coming from PulseX, where it's just rebalancing portfolio. Look at it like that, because they're like, oh, okay, I needed this, but I wanted to wait for the pump so I can leverage maybe my bonus that I got from the sacrifice. I'm reshuffling that. So I'm not really losing my Pulse or my PulseX. I'm just using my bonus and reshuffling it to buy the coin that I didn't stack yet. So you get that. And then you have a few of them who are just, they got their lucky. They don't really need much, but it's like they haven't passed that wealth syndrome talk that Maddie's been talking for you. We've been talking about since the first time around Hex went up crazy. That even us, we had to learn too. It wasn't like we got here and we're used to have millions of dollars. Like, no, we had to learn too, right? So they haven't gone to that phase yet. So when they see that money coming in, and if they don't have that thing out of their system, if they haven't bought their dream car, their dream house, their whatever, but expect that selling to happen. So you have to convince those people to, all right, once you get it out of your system, or just have like a budget, like I ended up doing, which is like, hey, maybe you can map out your whole situation with your discretionary income. Maybe even with your crazy lifestyle. And I've done that with some friends too. Like, oh, I want to do this. I want to try that. Yeah, but what is that number? And then we literally came out to a number. Okay, it's about $300,000 a year, right? After tax, whatever, to live this lifestyle, whatever I want. But I broke it down. I'm like, bro, even that, it sounds crazy, but it's only, excuse my French, it's only about roughly a little bit over $25,000 a month, more or less. So in other words, you don't need to wake up and go dump 4 million. You don't. That's just fear for no reason. You could just slowly take it, just like we used to talk about with Hex. Take what you need, mistake the heads, don't kill the golden goose that laid the egg, don't mess up the game for everybody. Because if everybody don't misbehave, everybody is taken care of. You just need to you can get your 5 million. You just don't have to take it all at once. You can take 5 million out of the system in a matter of even a year. You don't have to do it all at once. You know what I mean? 500,000 here and there, or 300,000. So once they understand that it's not a zero-sum game where they're going to lose, then they're going to not misbehave. And then as the price rise, it's become just number on the screen.
Crispy, what do you think?
I want to add to that for you, Kareem. Yeah, you are right about that in a perfect world, right? But this is player versus player. And I say that in that way because some people may hear us talk about it and be like, you're right, we're all together in this and none of us are going to sell. But we know somebody's going to sell.
Exactly.
And so I like to stretch for the ideal, right? That's what we're all going to do. But you also need to take realistic, just like you said, going up, precautions. Exactly. And what does that mean? What does that mean? That means DCing out. It means understanding what it is. I think this is my opinion, right? Understanding what it is you need. You talked about that. I talk about that all the time. You need to know your number. What is your number? And it's not. It may not be easy. Not everybody may be in this position, and maybe they need to go another cycle. That happens too, right?
But I love that we're having the conversation because that's important to start thinking about.
Yep. Yeah, it just brings back bitter memories of a lot of the rah. We're all going to be in it, and then afterwards you're like, now in the last couple of years, I'm listening to people about how while they were saying that, and this is the criticism we get all the time.
Exactly.
While they were saying that about how this is, maybe I took it out of context, right? And I didn't take profits.
Yeah.
But apparently they did, because my last 2 years have been pretty crappy. I think a lot of people could probably commiserate with me.
This is why I preface this very importantly. I was talking about those 10 to 20 people, and I can really go on record saying this, and I have no problem. This is one of the reasons why I've disliked, and it's very difficult for me to even dislike somebody in crypto like that. But it was such a nefarious action that when you can see the malice, you're like, this is why I don't like what Rakim represented and what he did. because I have great memory, and I would never.
No, I don't know what he did.
No,
but
bro,
don't explain it.
Bro,
Don't
I would
explain
never
it.
forget, because when you talk about the raw design, because I take that seriously, because I genuinely come up with a great solution, run around a sacrifice when everybody could win, right? Because the math was there, the incentive was there, because for the first time, because shout out to Richard and crew, they designed it well enough that the little guy incentive is actually aligned with the big guy, with the whole sacrifice and this, that. Godwell played his role. I'm definitely sure you watched the video too. He came in, he pumped the price. Bro, he pumped the hex price using ETH. And then, like the gangster that he is, he sacrificed with USDC. Bam! To let you know, hey, I'm helping you guys get your sacrifice point up. But I'm going to let you know, I don't need it because I'm sacrificing USDC. 20 mil cash. I will never forget that. That was such a G move. And he helped everybody, the community, all this stuff. And right around close to the day 5, when there's no, because the first 5 days, remember, there was no penalty yet. So people were really trying to push the price. I said, hey, leverage that. But remember, when the whales start going in, you want to go in. Godwell did his job, pumped for 3 days straight. Then he sacrificed and whatever. And then right around that day 4 or 5, like I sacrificed at the perfect time near that too, because I saw him coming, just like I told everybody, and most people did. But then,
I was on the whales trade, buddy.
Exactly. And this is why you tonight you're gonna get a little bit of scolding, but it's because it's for the good. It's out of love. Because that's what happened when you let the greed get in the way. Because if you have followed what I've said, 100%. You would have avoided that. Because what ended up happening is right around day 5, which was the end, which we told people to do it by then, the following day, the penalty started with a 5%. But what did people do? The greed kicked in. Oh, it went up so much. We pumped literally almost like 200% plus, 250 in a matter of 3 days. I will never forget that. Went from like 10 cents, 12, 14, 15, 18 cents.
Yeah,
but they were like, it's going to go up, Karim. It's going to keep going up. I'm going to lose 5% a day. But if it goes up 10% a day, I'm only losing 5, but I'm getting 10. I'm like, and guess what? It fucking didn't. And then this is why I blame Rakim, because he didn't have to. He murdered the price on purpose, massive dump, with the price hard. People panic sacrifice at the low. They didn't even benefit from the pump that Godwell did. This is how insane it is. Some people got half the coin they were supposed to get. Forget the bonus.
I'll tell you the person who called it the best was Feeder. And you remember David Feeder? You remember how he is.
I remember David Feeder, but what do you mean? I literally sacrificed
he called
right after Godwell.
Just go in day 1 and move on. That's what his
well, that too. But
that would have worked very well. But we're rehashing. But I get you. Yeah. My point isn't this. I mean, I know there are bad actors out there, and I'm not saying people should act that way. And I'm not even sure I don't know if that's bad acting that's predatory.
No, it is.
But in the financial systems, that's what people do. Because if you don't screw somebody, they're going to screw you. Now that
Rackham was bribing people to like try to influence the group think and stuff. He's a bad actor, and he's out. He's out now.
Because here's the thing. This is fallacy. This is faulty reasoning. We need to address this. It's very important. Opinion. Because he could have. Because by the way, while Godwell was pumping, he had the liquidity to pump too. He didn't do shit. He didn't pump like that. He didn't do nothing. And mind you, he actually pulled with other people. But that's a conversation from another day.
Yeah, that too.
I'm gonna let that, because that's
he bribed me $500.
He pretends to be Godwell, but he's not at Godwell's level. That's a fact. That's why I'm telling you, Godwell was a G, because he pumped with the ETH, but then he sacrificed with the USDC.
I appreciate all the effort that God.
So, but the last thing I will say on this is this, and I'll move on. The last thing I'll say is this: the time everything, and thank God, 85% of people listen, which is good, and they all got their thing good. It's just because on one hand, when he was on day 6, he could have just sacrificed. He didn't have to dump the price. That's where the different action is, because he sacrificed with a different coin and then he dumped with another coin to create, because he would not, quote unquote, murder the price and hurt himself. You know what I mean? He benefited from the cocktail. He got the wave. He got to sacrifice higher. He did the pool thing. All that is good. Fair game. But then you murder the price purposely for the people behind you to not get a better deal, but worse, to get even worse of a deal, so that you can literally have more control and then start basically murdering the price. And this is something Godwell could have done too, but he didn't. That's what I'm saying. It's very, very bad acting.
I had a few conversations with the guy, and
no, I used to have conversations all the time on Telegram.
Yeah.
I used to run the Telegram chat. He was cool at first.
I will tell you, it did not play out as.
Oh yeah, ultimately
I understood what he said, right?
Yeah, because ultimately, and that's another thing that makes him nefarious, because he was out there bragging about how, community, I'm never gonna sell, you guys are paper hands. Like, almost trying to talk like us, like people who are really diamond hand when you're not. That's another thing that I take offense with. It's like, don't pretend. To each their own. Like you said, if you want to sell, don't act like you're gonna do something and then you do the opposite. That's nefarious acting, because you pretend like you're the big holder.
Look,
but then you're not.
I got the last laugh on Rackham. Yeah, because I figured out ahead of time that the OA was going to sacrifice, and I didn't say anything on this show until a few days before it happened, and I fucking called it, and he had already sacrificed. You're welcome, Rackham.
After hurting everybody else, he thought he would be like, because he can't stop Godwell, because God got so much wealth, he couldn't stop him, so his plan couldn't work against him. So he wanted to use Godwell and use my plan, which made sense because it just benefit everybody. But then when he heard the price, he thought, after Godwell, it's just going to be me, and then we're going to run it. And then he didn't expect, the OA to come and sacrifice. But I will say this, for the late people that did sacrifice, this is a little tough pill to swallow, but it's important. Those are the people that didn't listen. Those are the people that had greed. And now what ended up happening is they're still getting the negative 5% per day. And the worst part is, instead of sacrifice, they waited. And they waited. Oh, it's going to bounce back. And then he never did.
Because he was manipulating the price down so that people wouldn't get a very good rate, and he would have a larger share.
If you had listened and you sacrificed run around Godwell, I didn't even try to time it. I said, guys, run it with Godwell. Once he's sacked, chances are there's no other big benevolent that's going to come pump you back for more sacks. So benefit from that and do it. And literally, that's what I did. I got 21 cents. It was the easiest fucking thing. Anyway, 21, 18, 15. And it's like, great.
Nice.
It's like, because I did the main load, and then when I had extra money coming in, because again, my Hedron was really cooking back then too. So it's like I was just adding more. But it's like on one hand, you got the nefarious action because somebody lied, literally, and then did something he wasn't supposed to. And on the other hand, you got people that try to milk the system, thinking he's going to get more than what it is. I had to consider with Wells too about it at the time. It's funny. But hey, sometimes when you want extra greed, then you get, that's how you learn. That's how you learn.
Now, Crispy, what do you think about $100 ink? Realistic probability, possibility? Is it impossible?
I think it's absolutely going to happen, but then again, I also believe that it could not. So.
Yeah, Maddie, it's a very strong non-zero probability. I'm gonna put it like that. Anything is possible, bro. If we pump. If Bitcoin goes 100K plus and keep flying towards 120, if Ethereum go to 6K and 8K, bro, everything is possible. You can even get $1,000 ink. I said it because it's a game of liquidity too. You understand? If all of a sudden, all those people, let's. I'm gonna paint the utopia before I go. Okay, opium, fair warning. Turn off the TV right now before you get too bullish. Okay, I don't want you to go empty your bank account. But in the balance of probability, step one, ink has the lowest.
Bitcoin's going to 3 million.
Exactly. Ink has the lowest number of coin.
You're killing me, man.
That's number one. That's the lowest number of coin. Number two, remember what I said the last couple of weeks. After that massive bullish diversion, the OA and crew and whoever big wallet already scoop a lot of ink at the low. So those who have it are just the big wallet. The small wallet, they don't farm that many ink. Okay, when I talk about the people that do the 100,000, 150,000 a month, you can count them almost in your hand. Like I said, it's 10, maybe 15 people. Okay, wallets, whatever entity, whatever you want to call it. That's why I'm very specifically talking to these people. If these people all of a sudden decide together to be like, hey, we're holding this ink, we're not selling it for whatever reason, meaning either like we've been talking about with Crispy, where they find whatever their buffer is per month to live their lifestyle, so they don't need to sell any extra. That's one case. Either they create a coin or whatever that they want to provide liquidity. That's one case. Either they want to be like Godwell and be VC in the space. That's another case. Or they like the OA, just want to be benevolent and just say, heck of it, let's send this thing to 1K. Why? Because I've seen it on day one. You want to create FOMO too. Because sometimes real pump and dumpers, before they dump, they pump the thing so high, get you so euphoric. And then when they murder the price, they can empty $80 million like it's nothing. I have seen it. So anything is possible. They could literally just, so sometimes the 1K ink, it might be something you don't want to wish. Because that is so much euphoria. You think you're going to sell your house. You're going in there. It goes 100, 200, 300. Oh my God, ink is the new whatever. It's the new gold. It's the new whatever. It's the new paradigm. You get into that hype. And then the red candle comes out of nowhere. And the guy that's been farming the ink for a year and a half
back down to $100.
Exactly. And you'll be happy with $100, but the guy that buy that 900, 800 is not gonna be happy. So it's like, be careful what you're asking for. But again, anything is possible. In simple term, I think it's very like telegraphed, scripted. $15, $20 ink is in the book. That's just right
for
there.
The record, right now it's $2.19.
Yes.
And I think it's very likely in this cycle by the end of next year we'll touch 100 and see where we go from there.
We could. But I would just say honestly, we don't need to worry about that right now because with the $10 ink, just $10. People forgot. I have great memory. I remember we were literally there like a year ago. With a $10 ink, we were getting roughly a 2, almost 3 cents pulse. We're already back to what I would call the stabilization zone for hex. And I'm just going to say combined hex so people don't think I'm forgetting one or the other. Combined hex around 5 to 6 cents. That's what I call the stabilization zone. You do that, the majority of people, plus the people that DCA during the bear market, they're all going to be back in solid profit. I'm telling you, because most of them, including myself, because the hex will kick, John will kick back in. The people who got the ICOSA, as long as they didn't sell, I want to be very clear. If you sold, then hey, nobody can help you. But if you didn't sell and you've been accumulating whatever, 5, 6 cents hex, you're living happily. You're back to where you used to be. The DCA did its job. It would be as if hex was at 20 cents or 25 cents. Easy. You will be telegraphed. And that we can get there with a $10 ink. Now, to go higher, we're going to need those 10 to 15 participants to do 2 things. Either if they're going to dump, get along with it. Take away the liquidity pool, the farming, unload the thing, let it be done. Let's move on. Or if you're going to stay, slow down the selling so that we can be good. Because the problem with those big wallets is that, Maddie, you can lower the incentive on the APR side, but it's not going to be low enough because every time the ink double, they're literally their monthly earning double. If you're making $200K a month right now at 2.5 cents, that means at 5 cents, you're making $400K. That means at $10, you are making $800,000 a month. You can lower the API by 80%. The person is still making a good, decent amount. And you can't lower it too much because now you're hurting the new people because the new people, they're smaller in the pool. So if you lower the incentive now, you're hurting the onboarding process. So it's also bad. You have to keep it high. It's just like the hex state. If everybody just go cuatro cinco and there's no more meat on the bone, who's going to come in? You're going to be like, what happened to my 30% APY? Oh, we can't do that no more? Or maybe I should not use hex. Maybe I'll go somewhere else. Maybe I'll go do LP. But right now, it's still good because it's competitive with the LP. Make sense? So you can't
Crispy had to move from the moon to Mars because of our moon talk.
We're going to $100. That means.
Well, hey, listen, I think it can happen. I think those numbers can happen. But it always is going to come down to whether or not people sell. Now you're talking about this dozen people or whatever. And of course we know of a couple of actors out there that are very benevolent, right?
Exactly.
Haven't acted to hurt. I'm not sure how you unpack the rest of this, man. I mean, it's good to try to get people to stick for a longer period of time. And I think one of the ways to do that is with multi-cycle planning, not just this stop. But I think it'd be a little difficult really to, I don't know, dude. I've said this to Axis a couple times. It's almost like, and this is kind of like this, it's like the whale stream.
Exactly.
To talk to.
No, it makes sense. I mean,
because listen, you got to understand too, and maybe I'm misunderstanding. So one of these guys reach out to me and let me know. But if they're part of making this market, they're putting in real value.
Exactly.
Right. And they didn't put it in to give it away to a bunch of people also who are just going to sell on their head because they're waiting for them to do it.
Exactly. That's why I say it's not a right or wrong.
It's kind of hard to be like, I'm going to put $50 million into this thing, but it's okay. You guys take 20. I'm just.
That's why I'm saying it's like it's not a right or wrong. It's just a behavior, and then the ultimate decision is theirs. All I'm saying is that some of those people, again, they started with not 50 million. Again, they started maybe after sacrifice, whatever, maybe 500K, 1 million, and then it grew to 50 million. And then, like we've been talking about, if you haven't gone through your cycle of wealth handling, wealth syndrome, like we all had to at first, because like I said, we're the first one to say, oh, we had to learn it too. It wasn't like, no, because everybody goes through that. And those, like the God well, remember, people forget why he's called God well. He's God well because he's a Genesis ETH holder, 400,000 ETH. And he never sold. So chances are he already graduated from his wealth building and wealth syndrome. So he's not worried about it. I'm just hoping that people get there. You don't have to, but I'm just saying if they get there, you get your $100 ink and up. And if we don't, and I'm cool with it, I'm just want to set realistic expectation, like Crispy said earlier, because it's not just going to be kumbaya and get there. If it gets there, which it can, those people needs to be on board.
Well, I think it can definitely be kumbaya when we get there. There's going to be a lot of people. There's going to be a lot of people dancing around the fire while the truck's leaving, right? So so it's just it's mixed feelings. I don't mean to be pessimistic because I'm not pessimistic about what's going on.
No, you're right. I love this conversation.
I'm also trying to temper my own reality because I'm not like because I think that we're going to have a very similar thing. These people that are probably going to do what I'm going to say aren't probably listening right now. There's going to be a whole bunch of people, just like you mentioned, in other scenarios. They're going to be sitting there going, "Hey, I don't know. Pulse is at a penny. It's going to 2 pennies. Pulse is at a half penny. It's going to a penny." They're going to be shooting for the nickel. And we know that when the music stops at the end, everybody doesn't get a seat. So that final plane that's leaving Saigon, man, there are only so many seats.
And those of us who are on screen probably aren't big enough to like crash the whole thing, right? And so we have to remind the smaller exactly.
I'm only ducks, so it's like I'm big, but like, I'm steak, and I already said what I'm gonna do. I'm a hex guy.
So
my biggest back to hex. Period. That's where I'm at.
And so that you know, I like that we have a difference of opinion. I like that we're representing different sides of the coin here because that's so valuable to the audience. People who range all sizes of shrimp all the way up to Godwell. And you know, to make a comment also on the whales, we have a huge variety even within whales. We have people like Rackham, who now is reportedly out of many of his positions. Thank God. Ajit.
Yep.
All the way to Godwell, who I don't know if you know this, Kareem, but during the bear market, I proved that Godwell has more t-shirts than the OA now. In terms of, well, actually, they have a very similar amount of t-shirts.
Yes.
In a raw count, but if you look at t-share years, the Godwell has a lot more than the OA.
But it goes to show how benevolent the OA. I give you an example. It's like the OA just came in very big and become like Elon Musk, but then you have a guy like Bill Gates that's been donating his money for like decades and stuff. So it's kind of like always at a level where it's like it's good. We want that, and we wish for more Godwell people.
There was a competition that unfolded, an extremely healthy, good for humanity competition of delaying gratification between the Godwell and the OA, and we saw this. We saw an echo of this, which is beautiful. Is starting with the starting with the Hex conference, the 4th Hex conference that we had January 6th through 9th at the beginning of this year. We saw both the OA and the Godwell pumping the shit out of the ecosystem from the end of the conference in the beginning of January, all the way through March. We saw both of those wallets competing to push up the price and both contributing to help the price of Hex, Pulse, PulseX, and Inc. And so, Kareem had mentioned earlier in the program, like there's another Hex conference coming up, and there is another Hex conference coming up in January. It's gonna be the same days. January 6th through 9th of 2025. And the planning for that starts in about a month or less. But it's happening.
With all of that, it's a great onboarding tool too, because it's online. It's easy for people who like never heard us or never got exposed to Hex or what we're about. Boom. And hopefully what I'm hoping is that the timing is good. That's why you see a lot of people, the Token 49 and the new announcements, because some of the OGs, they know, they can smell it. Monetary easing, you know what I mean? Bitcoin dominance about to rotate. Money's coming in. They're going to start making their announcement. You're going to start hearing people launching their coin next month or this project and that and the third. So we're, I think, perfectly geared where by December and January, we already know which president we're going to have. Not playing politics, just where we're going to have clarity, right? We're going to have probably at least another 50 basis point, whether we get 25, which is like 25 in November, 25 in December, or we get 50 in November and then 25 in December. Either way, once we cross that over 100 basis point cut and above, that's going to send a roar into the bond market, and some of that 6 trillion is going to start coming out, going into DeFi. So we'll be geared up. It's just the timing couldn't be best. Hopefully, the law stuff and when the Richard and the SEC could be close, but if not, it's no big deal. I want to be very clear. Yeah. If the thing continues, I'm very confident we're going to win. It's just a matter of how fast do we get there. You know what I mean? That's all it is. Just same thing with the rate cut. We're going to get there. They're going to cut. It's just how fast we get there.
We could find out about the motion to dismiss based on jurisdiction by January. Exactly. By the Hex conference, and it's not guaranteed because the judge has 90 days. Yep. So if
and that's fine.
If we get it in 70 days, that'd be great. And the more people who show up, we might get a decision a little bit faster.
The cool thing that's bullish about this thing is the fact that we're gonna show up. And what's so cool about it is like, I mean, it's funny. Lately, I've been to court, so I understand that. But if you ever been to court, to some degree, when you watch what's happening and after the court is over, you kind of get a sense where it's like, okay, are we close to the W or did we took an L? Like, you know what I mean? You will know, like, based on what's been presented, what are they saying? Because like I told people many times, if you're successful, if you're trying to do something for the world, whatever, bro, in America, sadly, you will get sued. But being sued doesn't mean that you did something wrong. Like, and that's another thing too people need to understand. Like, it's like, that's what I say, innocent proven guilty. So if we go there and we see really bullish news, the way the defense is being made, the way the judge is interacting, we're going to be able to catch all of that. And then, we're going to talk about it. So if we know it's like, it's in the bag, it's just a matter of paperwork, then the market's going to fly. We're not going to wait.
Did you hear Marco's recap that he did recently? I forget which show it was on, which is weird because, like, I don't know, there's only so many Hex shows and I watch all of them. But anyway, Marco the Hexican was recently on a stream and he spoke for like 20 or 40 minutes about how he attended the last hearing. Okay. And he was the only one from the community that was there.
Yeah, he's in New York.
Right. And so he was recapping, and this is the first time I had heard it put this way. He stuck around and listened to the SEC lawyers talking to Richard's lawyers after the judge left. So all it is Richard's lawyers, SEC lawyers, and Marco sitting in a courtroom after the judge leaves. And Richard's lawyers are like verbally pushing around the SEC lawyers. And just the way that Marco described it, I don't know. We might have to have him on the show.
No, they're going to take the L and we're going to record that thing live. We're going to be there. It's going to be so much fun. And then after that video that Richard posted was very smart about how his lawyer conducted himself and what he said at Discovery, the clarity, he was so well spoken. Oh my God, it was just too good. It was like, oh my God. And we got 11 of those. Okay, cool. Yes. Bye. Oh man. Speaking of which, Maddie, I do gotta leave. I'm so sorry, guys. I have to attend this event. I'm already late. But But yeah, no, guys, don't even worry about it. That I think is in the bag pretty much. Is look at it like if there's small delays, just look at it like a DCA opportunity. You know what I mean? And then hey, be grateful no matter what. Ink $10, $20, $100. Hey, look at the bright side. It's either literally 5x from here, 10x from here, or 100x from here, kind of. So it's like either way, it's up. We hope that most of them, the big one that I talked about, turn benevolent. And those who don't, guess what? Eventually, they get flushed out of the market. Because every time you think you're the biggest whale, right? Well, we learned a long time ago, another one can show up and just buy you out. That can also happen. That is a non-zero probability too. Let's not forget, because we talk about existing players. Because once we start bigger market cap and bigger players, somebody can be like, oh, I want to buy $5 million worth of whatever, and I need the liquidity. Oh, somebody's dumping 5 mil? Oh, I'll take that. Thank you very much. Bye. So, because we're talking about literally trillions of dollars being released in the market. Imagine the inflation by next year. It's going to be insane. So just keep that in mind.
Let's go. Well, have a good night, Kareem. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next week.
All right. Crispy, good stuff. See you guys. Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
And then there were two.
My brain hurts. I've been sitting on it too long.
It was Cabana Crypto's happy hour restarting season 5 premiere that had Marco the Hexagon, and I highly recommend that. Maybe we'll be able to get him on this show to get people hyped. The court date was changed from October 24th to October 31st, Halloween, because reportedly the SEC was scared that Johnny Chaos would show up. And of course, Johnny, running a Halloween store, isn't expected to be in New York now on Halloween. But
we should all get Johnny Chaos masks.
People,
I'm Johnny Chaos.
It's reported that Hexicans will show up dressed in costume as business professionals.
Nice. Well, that's real. I don't know that they made the change for that purpose, of course, but it is real that the date change, and it could change again, by the way, right? Does disrupt an awful lot of plans.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon for things to get pushed.
They told us it wasn't going to happen because so many lawyers were involved, and it happened. So yeah, anything can happen.
Yep. Yeah. Well, it's hard because, if they can't do it again, then it gets pushed out to when they can do it. Right.
Let's get it over with on the 31st.
I'm looking forward to
that. For somebody asking in the chat, the January Hex Conference, hexconference.com, is always online only. He said with a smile, because we get the most views and we get the greatest reach. And yeah, this is going to be the 5th one. Can you believe it?
Yes, I can. I've been in attendance, all of them. Yeah. So now there is the besides New York on November 1st, there being a Hex tour. I guess I'm not sure if they call it that now, but the PulseChain tour.
Yeah.
Is November 1st now. I don't know the details. You need to go to that and look. But there's also, my understanding, a Vegas version next year.
In person. Yeah. I'm not responsible for this, and I support it. It's the 369 conference.
369.
Yeah. So March 6th through 9th, 2025.
I'm glad you have the data. I don't have any of this information on my fingertips.
Boom. And they did a great job last year doing a meetup and the year before. And so, there's going to be a lot of people going in person to the in-person conference hosted by RG3 and the tour crew and everybody there. And I used to do the in-person conferences, and I've even said, ChrispyMan, I will return to doing in-person conferences when somebody breaks my attendance record.
Okay. Well, that's fair. I guess that's fair. It is a competition after all.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, and that goes for Richard too. If he breaks my record, he I'll start doing it again in person.
Yeah. Well, he might. Hey, listen, does the court case count?
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
Yeah. So
absolutely.
there you go. Well, listen, yeah, I always have mixed feelings about this because if you go on, even if you go to Vegas, right, for a trip, it is some money you're going to put down for that. Maybe you're going to stay in somebody's backyard. I don't know, but whatever. You're going to camp, hostel, crappiest hotel, whatever. You're still going to drop some dollars, and
Yeah.
so I like the online better in terms of the community. But we still can't get away from the fact that we're human beings and we like to
Yes.
meet other people face to face.
Yes.
And so while I would think the value that's going to go into me flying to Vegas and spending half a week or a week there would be better if I was keeping it in crypto, but you know.
We have the best of both worlds in this community where we have a lot of in-person stuff and a lot of stuff online.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. Good stuff. So, it's PulseChainTour.com, I think, is the link. And then hexconference.com will be updated soon for online stuff. I mean, last year we broke the world record for the most YouTubers live on one screen, 230. And
yeah, did that actually get recorded in the Guinness?
Well, Guinness is a centralized agency that likes to charge way too much for some things, and so it's been logged in AI,
Gotcha.
and but I've still made the statement before that I think I should still submit it to Guinness as well. But yeah, it's unknown what the shenanigans will be this year, but I can guarantee something just as good, if not better.
Fantastic. Well, I would like to share with you when you're ready information about Hex, if we can do
Beautiful.
that.
Spread the good word. Here we go.
I like me some Hex. See how better it looks if I have it pre-set.
Oh, I love the size on the screen. If you're not looking at the screen now, now's the time to check out this screen share.
Big screen. Hey, so my campaign, our campaign, I'm taking ownership for campaigning on the Fletchers. Right? Hey, we're doing pretty good. 31,286 T-shirts in 2039. Perhaps a few people got it into their heads that, oh look, T-shares doubled. And if I was coming in from stables, I'm now paying twice as much, in order to get the T-shirt. So we're up in, I think it's $300 and change now on the PulseChain per T-shirt. So
twice as much to get a share of the number of T-shirts.
Yeah.
In that year.
Yeah. Yeah. So it just went up. So I mean, a T-share, because the hex value went up, right? We were down a little bit below $200 for one T-shirt, and then after this recent pump of price, it's now over $300 for a T-shirt, and that's a one T-shirt for one day. And of course, you go out Cuatro Cinco, you can get, for that cost, you can get 3 T-shirts. But now you can no longer be a dolphin. So kind of like snickered that. Let me show you what I mean. So if we go, so this was that one. Now let's go look and see what oh wait, here we are. Yeah, maybe I did have the right one up. I thought I had the other one up. But anyway, so now to be a dolphin, you need 3.12 T-shirts. Assuming you can see that. And so we have broken the 3 level. I do expect that this will continue. We're partway through December 2039. And remember, my theory is that we will not see people come back. and substantially fill in 2039. So in large part, what we get is what we get for T-shares out there. It may be some number of months, years before people even fill them in. And so one tactic my little brainstorming team has come up with is, hey, listen, if you wanted to be a dolphin, make sure for 2039, you've got 3.12 T-shares or more. And then 2040, whatever the number is, make sure you have that many.
How many hex does that cost me these days? Like 30,000?
Yeah, I'm going to give you the rough number, but otherwise we have to do the math on it. I didn't prepare for that, but the T-share rate on the PulseChain side, of course, is a little bit lower than the Ethereum side, but it's 36,801 hex. So a little bit more than that you would need in order to get 3 T-shares for Quattro Cinco. And the cost at this moment, if you were going, USD, is $314. And so I had been telling people, hey, for less than $200, you could be a dolphin, but no longer.
Yikes!
No longer. Now it's almost double. And
so add a 0 to that number, and you get what it is to be a shark. Another 0, what it is to be a whale. $30 to be a squid right now in 2039 only terms.
Yes, Falcon Crypto Labs. You obviously do not listen to my streams. And so this is very isolated, though. So for anybody who doesn't understand, and I am speaking to you, Falcon. Just may be very clear. So I'm looking at 2039.
Only.
This is only 2039. How many T-shares are out there? And yeah, it doesn't seem right to me either, buddy, or miss. It doesn't seem right to me either, but that's what it is. Well, let's go look.
So the thought experiment is, if nobody else staked until 2039, you would be a whale, having that many T-shares staked already.
If nobody staked in 2039 or after, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we do expect people to do that. Right.
Correct.
To stick, but what we're getting at is the idea that perhaps wind up here into it. Perhaps what will happen is that, like I said, right, my thesis is people are going to be less likely to stake in 2039 when 2040 stakes are available. And so you can keep an eye on it. We have the numbers, right? I know that if I've locked in my position as a whale today in 2039, a couple of people have done this, as we can see on the screen, and I can make it a little bit bigger so we can actually see it better. But if I know that, and then I proceed into 2040, and I make sure that I'm also a whale in 2040 and 41, et cetera, I can, basically take a whale position. Hex is making whales by participating. Now, of course, this is long money. This is long strategy. You got to decide you want to do it. Yada yada yada. I mean, it's a risk, of course. It's crypto. So that's what we're talking about here. But let's bring this guy in so we can actually see this a little bit better. I'm going to put this guy back in the rank. Let's see what's going on. We got one prosperous Poseidon out there.
All right.
And that person has 3,371 T-shares. So they must be doing math like I'm doing, where got just enough to maintain the Poseidon position. Can you imagine? I don't know who this is, right? I mean, I don't know, but maybe it's related to God. Well, maybe it's somebody else. I don't know, but it's within reach of a lot of people to have done this, and a lot of them have not done it. So obviously, because we only got one. And then you see the whale.
What is that, like 30K or 300K?
Yeah, it's a bit more than that, right? Because you would need 1,125, say, T-shares. Well, I say that, but equivalent. So 1,000. Why don't I just do the math? I'll do the math. All right.
Sweet.
So to get 3,371, right? Divide that by 3. That's the cost times. What did we come up with for this? Hex Daily Stats is saying 314. 314. So this represents a $352,000
Okay.
investment out 15 years, man.
Wow.
That ain't no little thing. I mean, that's a big deal. It's a big deal. So we have number one out there. We look at number two. Number two's our second one is our winning whale. Both of them have started in this month. Number three, up and comer, right? Came up here almost 158 stakes. I don't know if that's a protocol. It might be. Don't know. I didn't do the research on that one deep dive, but the latest stake was the 23rd, just yesterday. 972 t-shirts. So they dropped pretty fast after that. But you can see a variety of dates here and, different whales that have come in and have done their thing.
Wow.
So you got, looks like 14 whales. Let's go up here. We'll see, look at our number. And so we can see that, one Poseidon, 14 whales, 137 sharks, 554 dolphins. The Swifty Squids have been coming up a little bit. That's pretty cool, because it's just a fraction of what it cost before, to get in and to do it. And again, I'm not giving you guys financial advice. I'm just saying, hey, we know that even the squid level did pretty well at the top. But definitely the dolphin level did. And it just seems like a no-brainer with what we know about the system and how people are kind of fading the staking at this point, that it might be like this huge opportunity that's once in a lifetime. Maybe it's twice in a lifetime. I don't know. But,
you know what they say? The best time to buy Bitcoin was 15 years ago.
Yeah, they do say that, don't they? And I keep coming back to that too. When I'm looking at it, I'm like, damn, we. There I was, working in corporate America, sitting at our computer, and all of a sudden everybody's like, "Oh, did you see the white paper?" I mean, I was there. I was an
You
adult.
saw it.
I was an adult with 6 kids, man, and out comes this white paper. And I was like, "Oh, this is pretty cool," and I was interested, but I got flooded, man. I got flooded. Oh, you're gonna connect to something that's gonna, steal all your stuff. You can't connect your computer, and and I've told that story before. But then there was that and some other stuff later, right? Like I didn't, turn around and buy it for $1 from Canada either, right? Or for $50 or $500. It took me all the way to $2,000 for me to go, oh, this is a good idea. Yeah. Can you imagine? I buy one Bitcoin, right? And what did I buy it for? I didn't even buy it to have Bitcoin. I bought one Bitcoin at $2,000 in order to get Tezos.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say drugs.
No,
but it's worse than drugs.
I'll leave that for the rest of you guys, right? So I bought it to get Tezos, and I did okay with that. I sold it like $3, $4, but it wasn't. It wasn't the 100x or 1000x or anything like that. That I'd gotten out of it. But that's how I bought it, right? That's how weird people can be when they do stuff, right? I got the Tezos with it and did it, and it wasn't until later, as the price started approaching 3K, I was like, oh yeah, I should probably keep going, right? And start doing my DCA and I learned a lot along the way, of course, but like all of us, we're new, and that's why I look back and I try to forget, all the stuff I think I know now, and that kind of impedes me, and I'm like, $1.87 ETH. I didn't buy a bucket of that either, right? So, anyways, my point is a lot of people talk about this, including Dollar Cost Crypto, Charlie, Axis.
Yeah.
You've probably said this too, Maddie. Guys, one thing you do, you might think something's worthless. Just save a little bit. Just save a little bit of it, even if you're getting out. Leave a wallet somewhere with 10%, 20%, whatever it is you want to do, so that someday when PulseChain, is $10, $5, you're like, yeah, look, right? Because it wouldn't be inconceivable in my mind that it could be $5 or $10 with ETH up at 50,000. I mean, what the hell?
Right.
I mean, it really comes back to community, which kind of ties back to that conversation we were having with Kareem, where I was being a little bit skeptical, but we do have a movement here in terms of PulseChain. We do have a community, and there are things that are more important than just money. I just recognize that, sometimes other people aren't going to feel that way. And I do think there's value to what the community has done and brought together all of us, good, bad, and different, all together. And so, we have this opportunity here where this thing over cycles could be insane.
That's right.
That's my thinking.
Well, I'm getting ready to start selling these bad boys. Got the easiest way to onboard into PulseChain. A physical coin, 1 ounce coin, and so they sent me the prototype and I've approved it, and so I'm hoping by next week on Tuesday night we'll be able to start selling these bad boys. And I mean it'll come along with a instruction booklet on how to buy PulseChain with your credit card, how to get a hardware wallet. I wrote this. I wrote this onboarding manual, how to use the bridge. All the things that we know about onboarding will come along with this, and I think it'll be a hot item for collectors who are already knowing everything about PulseChain, because it is stamped with a first edition. There's only 1,000 of them.
Where can I get one?
I'll be selling them on my blog, which will be under the website that's printed on the coin. But I'll probably announce it on this show because it's
so is it
well
just a commemorative coin, or does it have crypto in it, or can people put crypto in it?
It's got a private key that is protected by a tamper evidence seal. And so it's a 1 ounce copper coin that can hold crypto in it. And I've used this to onboard 120 family, friends, and acquaintances over the years. I've been using this product from this company for 6 years. I met them at the Ethereum conference finally this past year, about 3 or 4 months ago. And now we've got a PulseChain branded cold storage coin that allows people to have the aha moment of holding crypto and making the connection between digital and physical value. So
sweet.
It will not be preloaded, which that's thanks to the government. They don't allow that without a money transmitter license. But it'll be like an empty wallet that you can leave empty or load yourself or gift someone. I've used a lot of these coins that were branded with Ethereum to gift people hex stakes that were already staked for years. And of course you can use Time Pays Me as well to gift somebody a time locked or drip function of PulseX, Inc., Axis, Fire, Maddie. Any token on Ethereum or PulseChain can be loaded onto this coin.
Camel Clan.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So it'll be fun to see how people use it. And shout out to Fast Abdul, who has apparently been doing very well on the yen carry trade that almost blew up the world economy, because he's tipping 1,000 yen to explain that there's going to be more bribes here soon. And I'm not sure what a Brisology berry protocol is, or Brie berry, but apparently.
Well, I'm gonna just say this, and you can correct me and tell me I'm wrong about it. So with two p hooks, 2 p hooks.
Okay.
Right?
I like how you
that
put that.
if you hold that token, right? So the 2 fucks token. I just pronounce it differently.
Yeah, watch yourself there.
if you hold that token, you can also lock the token. And when you
Okay.
lock the token, you're able to throw your vote, because this is the balancer protocol, right? Or a fork of the balancer protocol. You can throw your votes behind a particular pool, and you can increase the variable APR for the pool. So very valuable if you're a market maker in particular, and that you want to make a difference and have a particular pool pay more. Right. That's where you see, I think, like the Solid X pool pays 70%, 60, 70% APR. There's some other pools I know that people have done very well with, like the B9 pools out there. I can't think of all the ones that are there. There's some for the 9-inch guys. I mean, there's a bunch of different ones that are there. All right. So was Breeberry or Bryberry? Bryberry, my understanding is, hey, I only have a little bit of that token, right? But I can still lock it, and I can delegate it into that protocol, and somebody may rent that from me, and I will get
Boom.
paid fees. And so now, if Fast Abdul had joined us tonight, he would be able to say this better. But it's a huge opportunity in that way, for people who
Cool.
are holding that token and holding the TP
And,
Hux, Andy.
and
Yes.
believe in yourself is trying to outdo him there with the 20,000 dong super chat. Of course, super chats are a great way to bribe as well. Fast Abdul's all out of dong, which, by the way, is a currency. That's why we're bringing it up here.
He's a little short, is what you're saying. I don't know. Oh man.
Falcon sold 2.5 Bitcoin to build a third GPU miner to mine Doge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like he got in with at least the Bitcoin he was probably already in, but he mentioned a $2,200 price, which is a big number at the time. That was like a big deal, man. When Bitcoin went to 2,200, everybody was like, "Oh my God, this is insane! It's going to 100,000." And it went to 20, which was cool.
That's when I got in, because it passed the price of 1 ounce of gold.
Is that what? Yeah, that's probably why I remember. I don't know. Well, of course, then after that, they were screaming about it going to 100,000. And this is a message I'll just repeat, and I'm sure most people know this. In 2017, it was going to 100,000. It didn't make it. Right. This was the call. Everybody's screaming about how it's going to go to 100,000, guys. It's going to 100,000. In 2021, it was going to 300,000. Did it get there? It did not. It did not. But a whole bunch of people took profits. Right. And now it's like jumped the shark, man. It was $1 million for a while they were talking about, but now
13 million now.
You're getting the 13 million. You got now listen, I guess the ARK Invest lady, Kathy Woods, I'll give her at least the acknowledgement. She's not saying necessarily the long-term cycle, but now there's you see all these people talking about Bitcoin going to 13 million, and this is where Kareem was saying earlier, people in their head get trapped. Right. Because I'm telling you, I'm human too, man. I got a little bit of Bitcoin, a tiny bit on PulseChain wrapped. And what am I going to do when it goes to 120K, which I think it surely will? I'm going to be sitting there going,
DCA?
Yeah, maybe. Right. So I'll be like, oh, this is pretty good. Right. Everybody's saying it's still going to go up. And then I'll be sitting there until it gets to 300. And here's the thing is, I get to 300, get some other level. Right. And then it'll be plopping around there like every other time, and it's going to have a little bit of pullback. But people are going to be saying, "Don't worry, it's coming back. It's coming back, guys. Don't worry." I'll try to channel a little bit of hexologist, and it's coming back. But then all of a sudden, you wake up, and instead of it being like September of 2021, now it's March of 22, and it never came back, and it's still going down. And then you get into the other downward motion where you're like, wow, I lost so much. You haven't lost anything, by the way, if you're still up. but people feel like I lost so much, I might as well just round trip it now. So
Yikes!
uh,
Flashbacks.
I
So,
know that's exactly that's a flashback for me.
do you
Hurts my
remember
brain.
what Richard's call is for Bitcoin this cycle?
240,000, 240,000. I think he's probably most correct, but we're gonna see what it comes up to. I mean, it certainly could do it. I mean, like any of these numbers are possible. And listen, there is something that's new, Maddie, right? I mean, as much as I can like be like cavalier about it's always the same and all that stuff, there are some big differences. There's some countries that now have adopted this. You got this dude, Michael Saylor, who I don't he man, he's got a set that is so big. He's so strong. I mean, he probably can't walk through the door at this point, whether it's his head or something else, right? Because from a traditional TriFi point of view, man, he is like the king, and he's working hard at trying to corner as much of the market as he can. He's buying more Bitcoin, so there are some things that are different, right? And we got some extreme maybe De Beers action coming in. Anyways, I guess my point is even though I can kind of see that things might rhyme, there are also some fundamental differences, you know, where it would behoove some other countries, some other large entities to acquire Bitcoin.
Hex.
Hex. I was going to say Hex, but acquire. I actually went through my head. You see it flash across to acquire Bitcoin at some of the dips, and perhaps we don't see another 80% dip ever. I don't know. We're going to just have to wait and see what happens. I wouldn't guarantee it, but we'll have to wait and see. And yes, as you said, we're getting closer to as this is all progressing to being much more exposed. To those same types of organizations getting into Hex.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
the code hasn't changed. Code hasn't changed.
Not too much.
No, hex code has not changed. It's immutable.
Oh, Hex. Yeah. Hex is the
Hex
same.
code has not changed. It's still the same as it was when it started, and it's still suitable for providing, the backing to monetary systems. So,
Yes.
particularly because it's immutable and it's transparent.
Yep.
And if somebody doesn't want it to act a certain way, we'll buy a whole bunch of it and make it do what you want it to do. But you got to have a lot of it, right?
Yes.
And it's got to be like almost a whole community effort.
So what do people want? A 4.36x in Bitcoin? Or
that's a pump for ants.
Or maybe you get out of bed for Ethereum or Hex.
Well, at this point, feeling like I don't know, I guess I became unfocused. So mentally I must be unfocused and the camera's channeling me. I'm gonna drop it for just a moment anyways.
There we go.
But I'll be back. Yeah, like right now, I'm like, well, I guess I shouldn't say I'm all in PulseChain, but I'm like 99.99% in PulseChain. I mean, I do have a few little DCAs. I got some old stuff that I'm still been dragging along because I never got a profit on XRP, man. So, I mean, I guess I took a little bit of profit because I sacrificed it, when it was a lot higher at one point. I think it was higher anyways. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, I made that decision. I have exposure to ETH, of course, because I need the gas. And so I've got good exposure. But yeah, I mean, so in my head is exactly why I haven't gone and picked up Bitcoin, because a 4x doesn't entice me as much as a potential 5x, or 6x on ETH, even though that's kind of like flimsy. And I certainly am not moving all my pulse into Ethereum at this point.
Yeah.
Because we have that. Though I will say this to everybody, anybody who's out there farming, and if you have a different opinion, throw it out there, let us know. One of the best farms, in my opinion, is the WETH, wrapped ETH Pulse farm. Just for that reason, because from a liquid loss perspective, because as the prices of both of those grow, and we do think that they'll go together in the upwards direction, you may experience less impermanent loss if that's a concern. But
yeah, and that one's paying 40%.
Is it? Is it
in
now?
ink. It is. Yeah.
Is it now?
I just checked it yesterday.
Well, yeah, I've been telling you guys forever that I've been round tripping my ink farms, and when you see something you just don't like, and you're like, yeah, there's nothing you can do about it. You just like make a face and kind of shake your head. So I've been doing that for a long time with the ink, because wasn't smart enough to buy it at 40 cents, but I was smart enough to you know, keep accruing it. But the other day I looked at it, I was like, holy crap, man, $2.50. That's pretty damn good, right?
Good
I
price
think
to
it went up.
buy it.
No, I was just like, I no longer could scrunch my face and complain. What is the price right now? Is it 250?
$2.25.
No, it's just now a little bit. Well, anyways, I was pretty super stoked over the fact that it got up to 250, and that even reminds us, there's still life in all of this stuff. All right, Mr. Man.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, can you continue without me and I will return?
I can. Yes. I will be the entire gang temporarily here.
Well,
so
you are the gang.
Yo, and we got Crypto Stylist in the chat. We got Sandy Beach. We got Fast Abdul and Yellow Cake. Yellow Cake gave me a $20 Canadian bill because he believes that in person when we were hanging out, because he believes that Maddie is going to $20. Pretty cool. We got Hex Softball in the chat. Yeah. Oh man. Did I just forget the story I was going to tell? I had a really good story to tell, but boom, I forgot it. All right, let me see. So we were talking about farms. We were talking about ink. Oh yeah, I remember. So I used Time Pays Me to create a price lock, which is something that you do when you basically take a behavior lock function in Time Pays Me and you use it to specify the price at which you will unlock your tokens. So what I did is I took $100 worth of DAI at the time, and I said, if ink ever drops below 50 cents, I'm going to be able to unlock my tokens, my DAI, and buy ink. And I also said if ink ever goes above, at the time, I think I said if it goes above $50, then I'm going to unlock this 100 ink. Well, wouldn't you know, the people that I sent the code to give me permission to unlock the ink at 50 cents, they lost it or something. And so I had to wait a year to be able to unlock the 100 DAI. And sure enough, the year just passed in the past week. I had done this live on stream. And so I did not get the juicy $100 ink buy at 50 cents, which of course it did go down to in the past year. And then it went all the way up to $10 within the past year. So that would have been a couple grand that I could have made there. But yeah, wrecked, whatever. It'll be fine. I did lock up a couple hundred ink at whatever price I got it at back a year ago, and so that should be coming out in the next week due to the timepays.me security protocol to make sure that you can undo a hack. But yeah, there you go. So I have evidence on the blockchain that I called the bottom of ink far ahead of time. But yeah, didn't get to benefit from that call really. And of course, when it got that low and my funds were locked, then I was not inspired to buy to buy at that price. But yeah, everything's good. Brisology couldn't make it today, so he's not on here. Yellow Cake, check your DMs, Maddie. Will do. Smashed the like button. Thank you guys for showing up and sharing this, hitting the like button. This has been a great episode. We had Kareem doing the macro. We didn't joke around about how the chair of the SEC got reamed in front of Congress quite enough. But if you go to my Twitter page, I have 3 clips of the beating, figuratively and verbally, that Gary Gensler took in front of Congress today. And of course, you can find that at x.com/MattyAllin. Link in the link in the description, but I'll drop it here too. Yellow Cake is smashed, but now he's gonna hit the like button. Perfect. So dropped that link. And then the show we were talking about earlier, where Marco the Hexakin was explaining how baller it was hearing Richard's lawyers taunt the SEC after hours after the judge left at the first meeting that they had. I just dropped the link in the chat below to season 5 of Happy Hour. So right now we have 100 people watching live, thousands on the replay. We have 114 watching on YouTube and 336 on Twitter. If you're on YouTube or you're on Twitter, leave a comment, hit the like, the subscribe button. I will share out. Oh, Brisology was cooking dinner, so he wasn't able to jump on. Fair enough. I'm going to share out. We really get the most social proof on Twitter. The views on YouTube, I like watching stuff on YouTube. But did you know on Twitter now you can listen on 2x? This is a recent feature. This is a big deal to me because I really like 2x. But yeah, lots of people have been sharing my SEC clips. I was dunking on them a lot, but let's see. It's PulseChain season. I made that graphic for the PulseChain conference account on Twitter. If you're not following, x.com/PulseChainConf and x.com/HexConference. 2 places to get all that info. But I'm going to share the Twitter link for this stream. So even if you're watching on YouTube, you can hit the like, you can share and hit the retweet. You can drop a comment. If you're watching on replay, why would you not drop a comment? Replay gang. What do you think, Crispy? Did we hit all the high points here on the stream today?
So, man. The message I got is go get more hacks. That's what I got.
The macro is looking really good, people. So personally, I'm all in. You can do whatever you want, but I've been over here while Kareem was chatting everybody up. I was trying to make a deal to sell some more of my stuff. I already sold a used car about a week or 2 ago to buy more crypto, and I sold part of my $100 trillion Zimbabwe currency collection.
What?
Yeah. I'm not as much of a trillionaire as I was before.
Damn.
But it's okay because I got a 2x on that in 4 years. But I could have done better if I just put it into ETH or Hex. So that's the plan this cycle. And yeah, so I'm speaking to a bulk buyer to see if we can make a deal on a little bit more sales here. But yeah, that's what happens when you get fired up at the right time in the rate cycle. At least we could still have a healthy correction here, but to me, I like buying at these prices when macro has turned out the way it has. If we go down another 20% in ETH, that's not going to be the end of the world, but I think we're going to be much higher a year from now because 20 out of 20 of the last rate hike cycles, the stock market was higher a year later after the Fed pivoted.
That's what I heard, right?
And then and then what was the other statistic that we had concerning the Fed pivot? Oh wait, no, that was just in crypto. There's never been a cycle where you had a green September and did not have a green October, November, December. And we've still got another 6 days. We've got another week before we're gonna know what the candle's like here in Ethereum land. But judging by the thumbnail from today, we got nothing to worry about. So, Crispy, where can people find you?
You can find me at hexfire.io, or you can find me here on the YouTubes at hexfire.io.
Awesome.
Or on Mars, right? So you also see me on Mars.
That's another one. We're going to peer pressure the shit out of Tobiwan to get on stream next week.
Really?
I hope. And
well, maybe a suggestion there is to do like break up into a couple parts. Like get do a segment for half an hour where he can do his kind of spiel, and I can say Hex T-shares are going up.
Yeah.
and Kareem can talk about the macro.
How do you know ahead of time that the T-shares are going up?
I don't know. I've been right every week, man. I don't know.
Just a feeling?
Just a feeling.
Cool. Well, people can find all my links on mati.pls.fyi. And until next time, stake wisely, my friends, and peace out.
And stay crispy. That's what I say.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. I don't think I've seen this image before.
He's slicing through that bear real good.
Apparently.